I'm Gory B Movie, and today on Gory Talk, I'm going to be talking to my buddy, Mr. Flixter, and we're going to be sharing all of our Scream 7 predictions and theories, and we'd love to hear yours as well. But first, let me thank our channel members in the B Movie Coven. These are all our members on the YouTube channel and over on Patreon. And I was going to let you know that this Friday, we're going to have a members watch party of Elves from 1989. It's going to be super fun. So if you are a member, check it out. And if you're not, sign up. It's really rad. Got lots of cool stuff going on. All right. This is Chris, Mr. Flixter. Also, I got my my Stab shirt on today.
I got my Scream hoodie.
Oh, that's a really cool one. I really like that.
Thank you.
All right. And it looks like we got Kelly here in the chat. What's up, Kelly? How you doing?
Hi, Kelly, and hello, world.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, I have so much I need to talk to you about. Dude, y'all don't even know. You don't even know how crazy. You don't even know, man, how crazy it is. So, huh? Oh, yes, very cool.
I'm ready for tonight. I'm all screamed out.
Love it. Love it. So, this is kind of an interesting movie because we've just had the two with Melissa Barrera, right? Mm-hmm. We got some of the guys from Spyglass returning for this. We've got the Meeks twins returning. So we've got like a combination of our original trilogy or quadrilogy, our original group, and like that, yeah. The new group. And I think it's leading us into some new territory. Like, I think even diehard Scream fans are like, okay, this is a little different. We're mixing up the formula a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's been a movie since Nightmare, a New Nightmare, where they've had this kind of like old and new mixture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm sure you saw the trailer, right?
Oh, yes. I've seen the little TV spots. I've seen the trailers. I'm ready to talk about stuff. I have theories.
I have
some might be controversial, some might not be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So we've got Neve Campbell back. We've got a few other big named actors. We've got Anna Camp. She is from, you guys know her from Pitch Perfect. She is playing Sydney's neighbor. I'm going to tell you what I know about who's playing whom. We have, let's see, I'm taking a look. Gail Weathers is coming back. And from what I've heard, she's got about 20 minutes of screen time. So I think she's going to show up about halfway through. Whereas I think Neve Campbell has, I think they said 45 minutes of screen time. So this isn't like Scream 5 or Scream. I get that right? Scream 5. Yeah, Scream 5. I'm correct. Numbers are not my thing. Anyway, we got Isabel May playing Tatum Prescott. So that is Sydney's oldest daughter. We got Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding coming back. Joel McHale is playing Sydney's husband. McKenna Grace is here. Playing
That's the one that I want to talk about, but we'll get to that.
Playing one of her, Tatum's friends. Tatum, also, if you look at the background at her bulletin board and stuff, she has a boyfriend. I think that's the one played by Asia German. And then we also had two new. Well, I mean, we also know that Matthew Lillard is set to come back. We know that David Arquette is coming back, and you could hear his voice in the trailer, but we don't know exactly how. We also have Roman coming back, but again, how? How are they coming back? And Mark Consuelos, Mr. All My Children, is in it. You know, most famous from Save the Frickin' Cat, or what's it called? Cool Cat Saves the Kids, or whatever. Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah.
And my high school crush, Ethan Embry, has just been announced.
Yeah.
So let's break it down, buddy. Hit me with them theories. You want to talk McKenna Grace? Let's talk McKenna Grace.
Okay, let's start with McKenna Grace. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but I checked the IMDb page, and her character doesn't have a name yet. So it's interesting how they released that she's in it, but they won't tell us who she's playing necessarily. And then the other girl, Celeste something, I forget her name, but she's only listed as Tatum's friend on IMDb.
She was also in Madam Web.
Pardon me?
She was also in Madam Web.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was. And she was also in the Ghostbusters movies. It's kind of like a little reunion for the two of them.
Oh.
Yeah, cool. But anyways, there's a scene where they're all walking down the street, and it's kind of like Halloween. But I think this one is going to kind of reflect Halloween 2018, the way how the original reflected the first Halloween movie. So, but instead of doing it like the traditional way, I think that I saw an interview with McKenna Grace, and she was saying that when she did all her scenes, she filmed her stuff ahead of time before everybody else. So she didn't film her scenes with the rest of the group. And she said during this filming that, don't quote me on this, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but she said she lost her voice because all the screaming that she was doing. She had extended scenes where she had to scream a lot. So I'm thinking maybe she's in the intro, maybe she's the first kill or something like that, and she's the big name that, because it starts off, they're walking down the street, she goes home, and then she gets her phone call, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas in Halloween, they're kind of in the middle when they're walking to school. Maybe they're coming back from school instead.
I like that you mentioned Halloween 2018, because that scene that I'm walking down the sidewalk is almost identical to the scene of Laurie Strode's granddaughter and her friends walking down the sidewalk in 2018, which is very similar to Laurie Strode and her two friends walking down the sidewalk in the original Halloween. So I think that's a clear homage. Have you heard the theory about McKenna Grace?
No. What were you going to say?
So, I'm sorry, did you finish your thought? I feel like I jumped in there.
Yeah, I don't think she has a big role. I don't think she's going to be a main character or anything like that. And I don't think she's going to be the killer. I think she might be that bait and switch, that first opening scene. And then she's going to be the first kill, I think.
I think they want us to think she's going to be a ghost face. So there's a few things that make it to where she looks like a ghost face, where she is a suspect. She's a big name actor. I'm sorry, but I called that Dermot Mulroney was the ghost face the moment he was listed, because he was the biggest named actor. And historically, people who have a name end up being Ghostface, people who are known for something, especially in the last few movies. That's how I was able to guess that was him. What I didn't guess is that there was two other Ghostfaces. I certainly didn't think there was three, which is what makes Scream so exciting, is you may get one, but maybe not all. So McKenna Grace is a big name. She's in a lot of stuff. That makes her suspect.
And stuff like that. Ghostbusters,
also the flannel theory. So if you look at Jill Roberts, she was wearing a plaid shirt. If you look at Billy, almost every ghost face at some point Richie has worn a plaid shirt. And what is McKenna Grace wearing in that opening scene? Or we don't know if it's an opening scene. In that scene that's in the trailer, she's wearing a plaid skirt. What, McKenna Grace? I'm on to you. I see your plaid skirt, girl. I see you.
I see you too.
See you walking in your plaid skirt thinking that you're all being crafty. You're not being crafty, mess. However, this is a very popular theory. It has been, discussed many times on many live streams. And I know that the people involved in the movie pay attention to what the fans say. So is that some kind of misdirection? What do you think?
Well, Scream's all about misdirection. So I think, they're trying to do this bait and switch thing. They're trying to subvert us. So I'm trying to think of the wildest possible idea that would completely blow me away. But of course, that's probably not going to be right.
I think she's a baby ghost.
Scream's all about pulling the rug out from under you.
All right, we got a couple of my friends in the chat. We got Adam, Farpoint Station. We got the wrestling god. Really? The wrestling god? My husband's a wrestler. I did not know there was a god of the wrestling, though. That's impressive. And my buddy Nightmare Files.
Impressive.
Hey, nice to see you here. So what do you guys think in the chat? Do you think they're trying to intentionally lead us astray with McKenna Grace here? Or do you think they're subtly letting us know that she's a baby ghost face? Like, she may not be the big ghost face, but she could be like a second or even third, maybe fourth ghost face.
Well, you heard about what the idea was for Scream 3 originally, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe they'll take a recycled idea, kind of like what Don Mancini does with Child's Play, and they'll kind of go with that. But I have another idea about Matthew Lillard, but we'll get to him.
Oh, we got a lot to get through. So what we found out in a recent article from what Skeet Ulrich says, and I actually think there's a couple different ways to interpret this. So Skeet Ulrich says he has nothing to do with Scream 7. He is not going to be in it. He has no idea. However, he says when he was broached for what was going to be the trilogy that had Melissa Barrera in it, is the plan was that he, as her father, would try to slowly turn her into a killer. However, or a ghost face, I think is what he said. However, they're not clear on who would she be killing. Because I thought that the way the series was going is she was going to be a ghost face who went after other ghost faces. That's where I thought we were going to go. And I think that would have been really, really cool. So, I have a theory.
Ooh, what's your theory?
Okay, now I'm not sure how solid this is. I do want to mention Kelly here. She says, total misdirection. Too many of us know the blue plaid theory. See, that's what I'm thinking, Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they are going to do what you just said, reuse this discarded idea of Melissa Barrera was going to become a ghost face. Maybe she would be a regular ghost face who kills innocent people, but I don't think so. I think she was going to be a ghost face that killed other ghost faces, guys. All right?
Oh, interesting.
So, what if they're going to do something in this? What if one of our beloved characters is going to be a ghost face who hunts down other ghost faces? You know who has worn that mask before? Sidney frickin' Prescott has worn that mask before. What else did we see in that trailer? We saw the whole Mocker house inflamed. Now, to me, it looks like, tell me what you think here. To me, it looks like the two people who go into the Mocker house, there's a couple. And it's very much set up as kind of a fun-themed bed and breakfast. I've seen a few of these. You know, you go in there and they have all the stuff from the Stab movies. And it looks like they get attacked by two ghost faces in the Mocker house.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily know if that leads to the fire, though. The fire could be at a different time. Who they're attacked by may not be the same ghost face who's walking away from the Mocker house covered in flames. So what if Sidney Prescott, at some point in this movie, is a ghost face who's going after the other ghost faces, and she lights the Mocker house on fire because that's where it all started?
Possible too. And if you think about it, I just realized this. Gail's also worn the mask before, because I think it was 4. She goes to the Stabathon. Yes. So she has to disguise herself. So they have both worn the mask before. That's interesting. They could like team up and be taking down other ghost face. That's a cool idea. That'd be different. Because I got a feeling they really want to take the franchise in a fresh direction. They don't want to keep copying themselves, because 5 copies 2 a lot, and then 6 kind of just is all over the place. I'm not a big fan of 6, but anyways,
I like 6. I'm not a big fan of 5. But I mean, I love them all. I don't think there's a bad movie in this franchise. It's just, if I'm comparing, 5 for me felt like we were hitting all the, trying to please the fan notes. You know, it felt very like fan service. And it didn't feel like it was really trying to tell its own story. It wasn't anything to do with the actors or anything, but I certainly felt like I was more bonded with these characters in 6, where they were really trying to explore who they were. But back to this whole, what if it's Sidney Prescott? What if she's a ghost face? She also has a scene with her daughter Tatum where I'm assuming that Sidney has 3 daughters. If we look at the trailer for, or even if you just think back to Scream 6, they call up Sidney Prescott and they're all like, do you have a gun? And she's like, I'm Sidney freaking Prescott. Of course I have a gun. But she's pushing a baby, and she says Mark has gone to pick up the girls or take the girls to school, which would imply that, okay, I don't know the gender of the baby, but she has at least 2 older daughters who are school age. I think what we're seeing when she's talking to Tatum is she's trying to tell Tatum, you need to go with your siblings to a safe house, maybe a family member's house where it's safe. And Tatum is saying, no, I want to be a fighter like you. I want to stay. Let the 2 younger ones go someplace safe. I'm staying behind with you. But it could get even more complicated. If Sydney is a ghost face, then maybe Tatum will be kind of trained in this too. They could even bring back Kirby and they could hunt down people who are ghost faces. Or I could be completely crazy.
I hope Kirby comes back. That's one cast member they haven't really announced yet. Ever did anything about Kirby, so maybe they're being hush hush about it. And if they are, why? That could be a good theory. The Ghostface that hunts other Ghostface. I hadn't thought of that. That's good.
That's
like
something I would like to see. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. It's not a theory that I think is highly likely. That's kind of why I'm starting with this one. I don't think it's highly likely, but there are a few things that could be pointing us to something. And I think it's something that would definitely shake up the franchise and make it interesting. But it's worth considering. You know, it's worth throwing out there.
Mindy might even get involved too for revenge for her uncle.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see her doing it. Not so much Chad, but Mindy, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, the opening kill, I think, is that couple that's in the Mocker house, which is kind of strange because they do usually pick a big name actor. They pick big name actors for one of 2 things. The ghost face.
Yep.
Usually somebody who's got good acting skill because you need someone who's going to really pull off that big reveal. You know, so a lot of up and comers, like, you know, when we had
Samara Weaving.
Well, yeah, Samara Weaving, but I'm thinking of the killer in Scream 5.
Amber and
yeah, which she ended up getting an Oscar, and then we had Dennis Quaid's son, who I'm drawing a blank on his name, Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid, thank you.
So yeah, we usually get either big names or we get up and comers for Ghostface and for the opening kill. So it could be, like you said, that McKenna Grace is going to be the opening kill because she certainly, again, ticks the box of being a big name. She's in freaking everything these days. She's in Hunger Games. She's in Ghostbusters. She's in Scream. She's in everything. She definitely ticks that box. However, they just announced that Ethan Embry is in this movie, and he is nowhere to be found in this trailer.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What do you think? Could he be the opening kill? Could he be a ghost face? What's Ethan Embry doing in this movie?
Well, that's a tough call because, like you said, there's not really much to go by. So there has to be some sort of reason why they're keeping him secret. So maybe he could be just a red herring, though. They're known for that too. They have like 2 or 3 red herrings.
Oh.
And then they made the odd choice with like Vince. He gets introduced and then he gets killed. So we could have that kind of situation on our hand too, but hopefully we don't do that. What I'm hoping is that maybe he is either a ghost face or he's like one of the cops that has like something out against the ghost face, or maybe he's like related to somebody else. Like they could bring another relative. Like he could be somebody's uncle. He could be someone's father. Because Scream's all about family, right? They try to keep those family ties together.
Scream and Fast and the Furious, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
It's all about family.
Scream actually reminds me of Fast and the Furious because it started off with this small idea and then it gets so big, and then like 6 is like barely recognizable when you compare it to the first one. It's in a big city. It's got a huge cast. The first one's kind of like a small town. There's only like 5 or 6 cast members. It doesn't have a high body count or anything. Scream 6 is the highest body count.
What if it goes to space like Fast and the Furious did?
That's what I mean. It just keeps growing and growing. So I hope this one goes back to the roots. Maybe he's somebody's relative.
Fast and the Furious gets a little crazy.
I don't think he's going to be Ghostface. I think he's going to be a red herring.
Okay, I have some information to give you.
Okay, what's your information?
Something that you may have read. Ethan Embry recently did an interview where he said he auditioned for the original Scream. He's had 2 big peaks in his career. His initial peak was when he was in his late teens, early 20s. He did Empire Records. He did Disturbing Behavior. He did a whole bunch of movies. He did That Thing You Do. And then he had a bit of a lull, and then he came back with things like Devil's Candy and Late Phases, and he's doing a lot of horror these days. But he says, huh?
All Man the Wolf. He's good in that one.
Yeah. So he says he auditioned for Scream. He does not remember if he auditioned for Stu or Randy. It was one of those two. And he says that Wes Craven wasn't super impressed by him. Now, when he mentioned that, that made me think that he does look an awful lot like Matthew Lillard. And obviously, he's very talented. If you haven't seen him in anything, please watch Devil's Candy. The man is incredible. He knows how to act. He can be intimidating. He can be lovable. Empire Records is like one of my favorite movies. He has range. So we know he could deliver the goods if he needed to be a Ghostface. And like I said, I do think he looks a little bit like Matthew Lillard. Kyle Gallner also looks a little bit like Matthew Lillard, which is obviously intentional because he played Stu Macher's nephew who died in Scream 5. So he could be related to Stu in some way. I don't think it's going to be another nephew, being that he is the same age as Matthew Lillard.
He is? Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, they're about the same age.
Okay,
but
yeah.
we know that Stu has a sister. He could be somehow related to him. I've heard also people say that they think that the Matthew Lillard being Ghostface is a red herring. That they think there's no way in heck Stu Macher is alive. And that we're going to find out that it's actually Ethan Embry who is keeping his legacy going. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm in the camp. I've always thought since the first Scream that Stu didn't die. I always thought Stu was alive, and I've been waiting for him to come back. And then when I heard the news about Scream 3 around that time, I was so devastated. So it'd be really cool to see Matthew Lillard come back because he was in Five Nights at Freddy's. I think you've seen that one, right? So it's pretty cool to see him doing the unmasking and stuff like that. And he's supposed to come back for the sequel. I haven't seen part 2 yet. But yeah, it would be cool for Matthew Lillard to come back. But I agree. I don't think he's going to be the killer. I do think this is going to be a red herring.
Okay. So, yeah, a lot of people think that Stu is coming back. And the reason why it's such a popular theory and why it's been such a popular theory for so long is it was revealed that he was going to be in the original Scream 3. He was to be revealed to be operating the Ghostface militia, I guess, from prison. So he's like the puppet master. And he had these high school kids who were going to be the on the street ghost faces, and he was going to be revealed to be this mastermind. What ended up happening was Columbine happened, which was the big school shooting. And so a lot of horror movies and action movies were told to dial back on violence of any kind, especially violence towards teenagers. So they completely scrapped this idea, and they ended up going with the more Scooby-Doo fun Scream 3 that we have. However, they had to buy Matthew Lillard out of his contract. That's how far along they were in the development of this. So as far as I've always been concerned, Stu is alive because that was originally part of the plan. Now, there are many things we can look at as to why Stu could be alive. I did a whole Stu Macher trial talking about how he could be alive over on my buddy Craven Something Scary's channel. We got in depth. Would you like me to go over some of the things we discovered?
Of course. That'd be great.
All right. Allow me to break it down for you like we did back in the 90s.
Break it down, Gory.
Okay. For starters, a lot of people say there's no way he could be alive because a TV dropped on him. Well, statistically, the only people who've ever been seriously injured by a TV dropping on them are children. An adult can survive this, and you wouldn't be electrocuted because the power would have gone out. So, yes, he'd be beat up, but he'd be alive. There's no reason why he should be dead from a CRT TV dropping on his face. Then you ask, but Gory, why haven't we heard about him for all these freaking movies? Stu Macher was very, very wealthy. Look at that freaking house. Consider all the money they're also getting from all the stuff that they had to use his likeness for. I think absolutely the Macher family could have had it kept quiet. You know, maybe he's in a private type prison for rich people or something. I don't know. It could also be something that the police decided to do because these days when there are serial killers, we don't hear about it in the news. It's not because we don't have serial killers anymore. It's because we don't advertise every Ted Bundy like we used to because they become celebritized. It could have been something that the law enforcement decided we don't want this becoming any bigger than it already is. We already have tons of ghost faces all over the country. We have books about this. We cannot let it be known that one of the original Ghostfaces is alive. That would be insane. We'd have people writing him. We'd have people trying to marry him. We cannot allow this to get out that this man is alive. And I think that's absolutely plausible. On top of that, I have always ascertained that Stu Macher is a lot smarter than a lot of people think he is. He was a very lonely boy. If you look at the whiteboard in his house, it says something like, happy birthday, and his parents are gone for the weekend. That whole weekend was his birthday, guys. It's fucking sad. And I think that's why he loves Billy so much. That's why he's willing to kill two of his girlfriends, guys. Two of them. Casey and Tatum. He kills both of them because his heart belongs to Billy. Now, if you're thinking, girl, you are reading so much into this. Matthew Lillard has said repeatedly that he considers them to be the first husbands of horror. That he is 100% behind the idea that Stu is in love with Billy. Now, whether or not that's reciprocated, who knows? But Matthew Lillard says that's entirely how he views the character. And I think there's a lot there to support this idea. So, if he is alive, I don't know. Would he be able to be released around this time? Could he be operating from prison? I do think, like I said, he's a lot smarter than he lets on. And he absolutely could be Ghostface in this movie. All right, that's everything I got. What you thinking?
It's an interesting theory. I just want to add to what you were saying before. I just had it. Shoot, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Okay, anyways, yeah, you said before the TVs were a lot different back then. Like if you grew up in the 90s, you would know there was like a big like hole. There was the glass, and then there was the tubes. So like none of the circuits would have been there or anything like that. So it is plausible.
Like giant light bulbs inside.
Yeah. And it's interesting that I never heard that what Matthew Lillard said about the relationship between him and Billy. Because think about what he says when he says, "What's your motivation?" This is what I was gonna say. He says peer pressure. It's funny, like the way he says it and stuff like that. But there's a lot of truth behind that. I think it wasn't his idea. I think it was Billy's idea.
And he just kind of got him,
he coached him to come along with him, and then he kind of manipulated them through that. And I love how they make fun of that in Scary Movie, the whole relationship thing.
Yeah. So that's something else. So Roman Bridger is, the actor who plays him, which Scott Foley, is listed as being in this movie. That could be a couple things. Now, this movie does seem to be following a lot of the beats, like you mentioned, Halloween 2018, even Halloween Kills. Look at all that fire. Yes. And Halloween Kills, I think the best scene in that is the flashback to the 1978 film.
That's right,
They could have a de-aged Roman Bridger approaching Billy and Stu for the first time because he was the one that told Billy, your father is having an affair. That's why your mom left. Your father had an affair. That's why your mom left. He's the one who told him about that and set him on the path. So we could be seeing more. How did Stu feel about this? Did that upset their relationship? Was he 100% on board? Did he get kind of dragged along? That could be why we have David Arquette listed, why we have a lot of other people who have passed away in the franchise listed, because there could be a really cool flashback scene.
Something else interesting too. In the first one, you see, part of the third one too, but you see Billy's dad briefly, and you see his mother in the second one, but we've never seen Stu's parents before. So I'm predicting maybe this one's going to say something about his parents, and then maybe they'll go into exactly what you said. He was in like this rich person's prison, and it's been like this huge like conspiracy that they're trying to do. So yeah, I think that's very possible. I like that theory.
We do know he has a sister. So here's another theory. I feel like I'm on something like Unsolved Mysteries here.
Yeah.
By the way,
Unsolved Screen Mysteries.
Yes, Unsolved Screen Mysteries. So a lot of people I have seen, like my friends Knight and Killjoy Jake, both seem to think, at least I think I remember them saying that they thought Anna Camp would be Stu's sister. That would absolutely set her up to be a Ghostface. And one of the things I think could be possible is that she's revealed to be Ghostface in this. Maybe even McKenna Grace is going to be Ghostface. And then when they get rid of them, you find out that Stu is alive and he was operating behind the scenes the whole time. So it'll be the first time a Ghostface gets away. And they have already greenlit Scream 8. So that would lead us into Scream 8, where we'd be like, oh crap, You know, maybe Sydney doesn't even know he was behind it. So then you have to say, well, Gory, wouldn't freaking Sydney Prescott know what Stu's sister looks like? I don't necessarily know if she would. So check this out. Stu was Tatum's boyfriend. Tatum was her best friend, but they had not been dating very long. He had been dating Casey Becker. It's a new relationship. He's also best friends with Billy, her boyfriend. So it doesn't seem like she is directly friends with him. It's kind of like that person in your friend group where you know them, but it's not like you've been to their house. You don't know what their freaking parents look like. And it's already been established that his parents are never fucking home. So if he had an older or younger sister, it's entirely likely that she's never seen her. So he wouldn't have like the Mrs. Loomis moment where Sydney would instantly recognize her.
And for all we know, she could have been at a friend's house during the party at the end of the first Scream. She could have been like, get out of here, go to somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She could have like given me to go to the movies or something like that.
She could be a lot younger too, or, you know, she could be older or younger. There could be a lot of reasons why Sydney would not recognize what she looks like. Because I know Anna Camp is cast as Sydney's neighbor and her friend.
Yeah.
Which, another possibility being that she's the neighbor, she could be the mother of maybe McKenna Grace. Maybe that's how the girls are friends. Mm-hmm. And Ethan Embry could be her husband.
Oh,
Anna Camp isn't in the trailer, as someone mentioned that earlier. She's not in the trailer. So if he's playing her husband and this couple is a big part of the movie, maybe they're even McKenna Grace's character's parents, then that explains why we haven't seen them, because we haven't seen this family aside from McKenna Grace in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I was thinking maybe Mark Consuelos could have been her husband, but that's an interesting theory too. I hadn't considered that one.
It's entirely possible. So T. Parker Evans says, I feel Sydney would background check everyone who comes into her life, especially since her husband is a cop. Well, her husband isn't exactly a cop. Her husband's a security guard. We know that because, at least I think he's a security guard. Based Something on what we've seen, he's shown inside the bar where the Meeks twins are, and it looks like he gets attacked. He gets wrapped in plastic. I don't know how far he's going to make it. But he is a different Mark than the Mark from Scream 3. So I had this whole theory on that too, because I'm Dreamy Mark. That's the one I'm invested in. I like Mick Dreamy Mark way better than Community Mark. Like, he can eat it. So I feel like she had this lovely romantic escapade. I mean, because they were together. They're watching movies at the end of Scream 3 with McDreamy Mark.
Buddy.
And then he was like, baby, I have a calling to the law. And I have to leave you, baby, because
I'm married to the law.
Exactly, I'm married to the law. And she's like, no. And then he goes, but she never quite got over that. So she was like, I will only ever date Marks again, even if they're not as attractive. So she finds Community Mark, and like she marries the guy and spawns his children. But she never gave up. She never gave up on McDreamy Mark, and that is why we're gonna have to kill Talk Soup Mark in this, so she can be reunited with him.
I don't think he's going to last till the end, because there's a large cast. So I think there's going to be a higher body count. This is probably going to be the biggest body count in the franchise. I don't think he's going to make it to the end.
Okay, so T. Parker Stevens says he's the chief of police. Yeah. I believe you, but I still think he's going to die. So thank you for providing the information. But you have to admit, I mean, T. Parker, he's not dreamy. Are we going to cry any tears for him? Are we invested in this guy? No. See, they couldn't afford McDreamy. From what I understand, they did broach him because, I mean, he was just in Thanksgiving. He's a big deal, which is also a Spyglass movie. They broached him, and from what I understand from interviews and stuff, they weren't able to meet his price. Plus, he's going to be in Thanksgiving. I can't remember what it's called. Thanksgiving 2. So I think this is just a placeholder, Mark. I think he's going to die in this movie, and they're going to get back McDreamy Mark. At least I hope so.
Yeah, well, wishful thinking that they get the good Mark back, because I've been waiting for him to come back too. He's one of the few survivors in the Scream movie. Scream doesn't have very many survivors, so let's bring back the people that are still alive. You brought back Chad and Mindy. Chad should have died twice. I don't think Chad's gonna make it out either.
Yeah, so I've heard a few people say Chad's not going to make it, and we can see that the Meeks twins are attacked. Like they're shown inside a bar. We also see that they arrive with Gail, so that explains why they're
Yep.
back. Maybe
Yep.
they're helping her with her camera equipment, or maybe she's just bringing them along for the ride. And then they're attacked. I don't think Mindy's going to die. I actually hope that Mindy steps up and fulfills that Randy role a little bit better, because she really hasn't offered a whole lot of information that isn't super obvious.
No, she got everything wrong, and they make fun of it.
Yeah, so she doesn't do a great job with that. It would be cool if, especially now that she's survived 2 of these movies, that she actually has a little more to offer. But so Chad, I mean, that boy was stuck 5 ways to Sunday in Scream 6 and he lived.
Dewey survived twice too before he got killed off. So that's my theory. He survived twice, third time.
That's true, because he was potentially going to die in Scream 5. He even did the whole thumbs up like Dewey. Then Scream 6, he doesn't die. I mean, at this point, if they don't kill him, he's going to be like untouchable. But then at the end of the day, I also feel like he brings a little bit of heart to the group, and I'd be kind of sad if he died.
The core fourth speech is really touching in 6.
Okay, I'm going to check in with the chat. So, yeah, I agree. He's unkillable. Scream 6 proved Chad Michael Myers. I can see Mindy dying more than Chad. Yeah, I don't think... Oh, Chad's Michael Myers. I don't think they're going to kill Mindy. I've heard a lot of people say Chad, and I just don't think so. I actually think Gail's going to die in this one. I think they messed up by killing Dewey and not Gail. Because Dewey was previously the heart of the franchise. So if you kill Chad... you're doing it again, and you're going to piss people off. People are a lot more, I think, attached to Chad than they are to Mindy. I think they should have killed Gail. I think Gail had a whole arc where she was becoming more of a hero and less of this opportunist. And then when Dewey dies, she says, I'm going to not write a book about the killer. I'm going to write a book about Dewey. But she doesn't do that. And so the next movie, I feel like we completely backpedaled to old Gail, and I was really disappointed because I thought she had made some growth as a character, and then she doesn't. I think the only way to really redeem her character at this point and to show growth in the character is for her to sacrifice herself to save Chad and Mindy. That's what I think. She also doesn't have...
I can see that happening.
She doesn't have a lot of screen time in this, guy. She's supposed to clock 20 minutes in this. Especially...
she had nothing to lose.
So here's the other thing, since we're talking about Dewey. Dewey's voice is heard in the trailer.
Dewey.
He says something along the lines of, everybody around Sidney Prescott dies. Our Dewey is not mean like that. Our Dewey's also dead. He's very dead. So the theory is there's going to be AI and deep fakes in this. It's something similar to what happened in 3 with the ghost face voice changer that could mimic anyone's voice perfectly. Well, nowadays we have that technology, and it makes sense that a ghost face would utilize that technology, and I would utilize it to fuck with the people who have lost people they care about, i.e. using Dewey's voice to terrorize Sidney and Gail. All the more reason why Gail would be super invested in taking this ghost face down and doing the heroic thing, the thing that Dewey would have done. Because they're, using his voice. They're disparaging his memory.
I think they're going to take it a step further. I think what they might do is they might have these deep fakes, and they might have trying to psych Sidney out, kind of like what they were doing with Sidney's mom in part 3. There's a whole psychological aspect. So they might be doing that just to get inside of her head kind of thing. She finds these old videos, but she's like, wait, are these real? And then she questions her past. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
There's the tape. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Sorry.
Well, because in 3, Randy left that tape. So if he's leaving a tape behind, she would think it was entirely plausible if somebody else left a tape behind, but it might not be real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's a lot of tie-ins between this movie and the original Scream 3. I mean, the fact that there's the voice, the voice changer. This one obviously has the voices of dead characters. There's a lot of tie-ins, and Roman. Yeah, Roman is another one of them. So So I do. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. They used the technology in Scream 3 to terrorize Sydney into thinking that her mom's ghost was haunting her. So when she was already having some mental problems anyway, but when she goes to the set of the movie, they have it all dressed up and they use her mom's voice to mess with her to thinking that she really is being haunted by her mother. So in
Exactly.
this movie, I think kind of paying homage to that, I think they're going to use Dewey and maybe even Roman. I mean, yes, he tried to kill her, but he was also her brother.
Long lost brother, yeah. And that goes back to that family thing. 'Cause we had Billy's mom before, and then we had Roman Bridger. Then we had Emma Roberts was the cousin. So they keep making these different ties, not just Sydney's family, but everyone's family. And that carries on with the whole requel thing, the legacy sequel that they were doing. That's another reason why I think they're going to try and play off Halloween 2018.
I agree with that. So I actually had said this exact same thing. I was on Night's stream, the Night Watch Zone. We watched the trailer together over on his channel, and I said this exact same thing that Queric is saying. I just heard a wild theory where Dewey is the dad of Tatum, Gale Angle. So I'd like to throw out everything and see what sticks. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm 100% committed to it. I'm like an explorer of ideas. But during his stream, I said, what if Tatum, Sydney had a baby only a few years back. So Tatum is quite a bit older than at least her youngest sibling. And there was that moment. There's a moment in Scream 4 where Dewey's relationship with Gale is extremely strained. He has a scene alone with Sydney, and they share this like moment that almost felt like there was something between them. We know her relationship with Mark did not pan out. And obviously we know that Dewey and Gale's relationship did not pan out. And so I threw it out there. What if the reason her name is Tatum is not just because it was her best friend, but because it's homaging her dad too? Like, what if her dad was Dewey? They had like a one night fling when he was on a break with Gale or after they had broken up and conceived a child.
I love that idea.
I think it's entirely possible.
I think it's possible too.
A lot of people don't like that because it ruins the whole romance of Gale and Dewey. But I actually don't think it does because what they had was real. Obviously, it ended, and we know it ended. They got divorced, just like the people in real life got divorced. But even in real life, like you watch You Can't Kill David Arquette. It's a great documentary about his wrestling career. He's still great friends with Courtney Cox. And Dewey is, still close to Gale. He still loves her and stuff. Just because he had an affair with Sydney, who's somebody he's also very bonded with, wouldn't make his feelings any less. Everybody does things that maybe they regret, especially if you've been, grieving or you're with somebody, I'm just saying he could have a one night stand with Sydney and it wouldn't make his feelings for Gale any less. Does that make sense?
Yep. That makes sense. People make mistakes. He was in a dark place at that time, and Sydney's one of those people who has been around his whole life kind of thing. So even though they had that kind of brother-sister relationship, it's entirely plausible that they would take it that next step, especially because he saved her life so many times and vice versa. I think she saved him once or twice too.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but my group of high school friends who kind of extended into our early 20s, a lot of them ended up dating each other. You just kind of get bonded to these group of people. And the only other person he's really close to is Sydney. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. Do I firmly think this is the case? Not really. But I like to throw it out there as a possibility. I think it's possible.
I think it's a cool idea. It's interesting. I don't think they're going to go with that idea, but it is possible. I hadn't heard that before, but I love it.
Yeah, T. Parker says, I don't see Sydney being a homewrecker like her mom. Well, see, that's the funny thing is Sydney would have guilt about that because her mom did have an affair with Billy's dad. If she did that, she would die with that secret. She wouldn't tell anybody, and she would make Dewey swear, which means they wouldn't even tell their daughter that they conceived who her real father was because of the shame she would feel. So I think that kind of ties into it, too. Again, I'm not super committed to this theory, but I think it's possible.
Just to add to that, it's kind of like the shame that Maureen had about Roman. She didn't tell the husband about that until later on, or the shame that Sam's mother had because the father didn't find out until she found that letter in that little monologue that she had.
Yeah.
So that would go along with the other themes that other characters have had before.
History repeating itself.
Exactly, and then they have that guilt that they became that person they didn't want to become.
So going back to this whole idea of them using AI, I think a lot of fans are pretty much on board with the idea that that's what's happening here. I do not think Dewey is still alive. I think they're going to use his voice to hurt Sydney and Gale. And Roman, I'm really hoping we get a flashback. I think they might use his voice, but it doesn't make as much sense because even though we know Sydney, despite everything, has love for Roman, I don't know if anybody would really think that they could get under her skin with Roman. I mean, she only spent a few hours with the guy. So yeah. I think, and that's something else too. Scott Foley did an interview and he said he did like a day's worth of work. He's not in the movie very much, but entirely possible he did a flashback or he recorded a couple lines for this AI voice changer. And it may not even just be a voice changer. It could be something that deep fakes people's faces too. So she might see on a video call Dewey. She might see on a video call Roman. I mean, if they use Roman, it's going to be to try to scare her, I think, and mess with her. How she let down her brother. How Sydney has gotten things that other people, because a lot of people always go on about how Sydney's so special and it pisses people off. So they could be using Roman like that.
Could be. They could be testing her muster. It could be.
I'm hoping flashback.
I'm hoping a flashback too, because you're right. It would make more sense if they try to explain how he crossed paths with Billy in the first place, or how he even got to California, or how he found that part of California. Because Woodsboro, I assume, isn't close to Los Angeles. It's probably further north in California.
I don't know. The other thing too
was far away, like 8 hours or something like that. Modesto is close to San Francisco. I used to live in California. Sorry.
Yeah,
this is my theory, just based off what I know about California geography.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, in the beginning of Scream 5, they talk about Modesto being far away. So I question whether or not that was, if Richie had anything to do with that kill. I think Amber was kind of working on her own, and she recorded herself on the phone beforehand, and then she just kind of replayed it during the phone call to make Tara think that she was being attacked.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too.
Because they say that Woodsboro is like 8 hours away or something from Modesto. So on the map, Modesto was like over here, like in the middle of California, and like be a little bit further south. You know what I mean? So that's like a whole day's driving.
I actually think she did a majority of the kills in that movie because I don't think
so too. I don't agree with the Dewey kill because the way she lifts him up and stuff like that. But that's just bad writing,
I think that's still supposed to be her though because he's right there. I really don't think he wanted to get his hands dirty, and we see that at the final scene when he is with Sam, how cowardly he is and how easily he breaks down. I don't think he was really cut out to be a killer. So yeah, I 100% agree with that.
He was cowardly though. You're right.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Roman potentially being a AI, either on a voice changer or on a video thing. Why Roman? I mean, if you were going to go the terrorizing her with past killers, Billy seems the most obvious. And Skeet Ulrich says he has nothing to do with this movie. He's doing a lot of press right now with Matthew Lillard because he's in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. He says he has nothing to do with it. Now, that could be like Andrew Garfield saying, I'm not in Spider-Man, which obviously he was. He could be trying to keep it a secret that he is in it. Because if they're going to terrorize her with a ghost face, Billy is the one you're gonna go with. That just makes the most sense. Even, why not also bring back Jill? Like, there's so many other ones you could bring back. Why Roman? It doesn't make sense. So I think Roman is a flashback.
I agree, because I don't think he could have survived the third movie at all. The way that that happened, the way that that went down. So yeah, totally. I'm hoping it's not the AI thing. It would make more sense. And that's something I've been kind of wishing to see. That's I know there's wishful thinking, and then there's theories. Because there's some things that I want to see happen, but I don't think they're going to do. And then there's things that I do think they're going to do, but I don't necessarily want to see happen. If that makes sense, it's
Break it
kind of
down
that
for me, man.
push and pull. So I'm confused why Roman's even in this movie, but it would make sense to do the flashback. I have to agree with that.
And again, like Halloween Kills, right?
Yeah, yeah. They started off with the flashback, and then the other cop was guilty because they didn't bring in Michael Myers or whatever. I've only seen that movie once because I didn't like
And
it,
think
but that's
about
what I
that
remember from
too.
it.
So we already said that the beginning of a lot of these movies has a big name actor for that opening kill. What if this is a Scream movie that doesn't open with a kill? It opens with a flashback.
Like how five did. It didn't open with a kill.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that theory. Yeah, they could be doing that again. Because even in three, Cotton was the one that died, and he was a pretty big name actor at the time. Like but by that time, he was doing like the Omen remake and stuff like that. Like he was doing stuff. He was Wolverine at that point. Not Wolverine. He was Sabretooth. Sorry, but yeah, Liev Schreiber was a pretty big name actor at the time when Scream 3 came out, and he was the first one to go. So there's pretty solid thinking behind that. And then even the beginning of part four, you had like four or five big name actors that ended up dying.
Yeah.
Pretty
So,
funny.
I mean, for sure they're going to be using David Arquette. If there is an AI voice changer situation, I feel like it's strange that he'd be the only one they're using. You know, unless they're also using Matthew Lillard, Stu. But to me, that doesn't make sense because again, why not use Billy? Billy makes so much more sense than Stu. So I don't know. I feel like either A, they're keeping a lot of other voices hidden. If they're gonna do that, then they may bring Tatum's voice or a whole bunch of other people's voices, and they're just not letting us know that Rose McGowan's gonna do a voice. I mean, look at Scream 5. We even had Drew Barrymore back in that. I mean, she was the very first person killed in this entire franchise.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's entirely possible, even though Jamie Kennedy says he's got nothing to do with it. Skeet Ulrich says he has nothing to do with it. They could be doing the Andrew Garfield thing and just lying to us.
Yeah, and there's something else too. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you've seen the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, the one that came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but there's a character that died in the first one, but she makes an appearance in this one, and it was kind of a cool surprise.
It
So
was cool.
it's entirely possible that she has some kind of like a vision or something like that, or they have the AI, like what you were saying, and there could be other characters they haven't released yet because they're holding their hands close to their chest.
And see, that's the other thing. So if Roman is there as a flashback, it would have to be the moment where he approaches Billy and Stu, which means Skeet Ulrich's a freaking liar. I feel like Skeet Ulrich is going to be in this movie. I feel like he's just lying. He's got that twitchy eye. I don't know. I don't trust the man as far as I can throw him. And, you know, maybe Nancy could throw him in the craft, but I can't. So I think he's in the movie, and he is full of baloney.
I think you might be right because it could start off with him going to the house and that confrontation with Maureen, and she's like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here! I have a new family now." And then she's like, "Well, screw that! I'm going to ruin your family." You know what I mean? And then he finds Billy, and then
And
he shows
it's
him the videos and stuff like that.
not like they haven't de-aged actors before. They de-aged Billy in 5 and 6.
Yep.
So I feel like he's got to be in it. If they're just doing the AI thing, it would make they would have to have Billy. If they have Stu, they have to have Billy. And if it's a flashback, they need him in it. It just makes the most sense. Why would Roman only go to Stu? That is nonsense. That's the kind of sense
That
that's
would
not
make sense.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. Unless they went to Stu for like the financial backing, but he would still have to make that first initial like contact with Billy. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
So that one, I 100% believe Ski Ulrich is in this movie.
It also makes sense that they're not showing all their secrets right away. They
Which
do
I
want to have
like.
some secrets. So there's probably layers that we're not catching behind these little trailers that they're releasing. And as we go on too, they're going to show different footage and we're going to see more and more from the movie. So we're 2 months away. So they're not showing a whole lot right now. It's mainly teasers and stuff. You know what I mean?
And I feel like they have learned from their mistakes. One of the things that's very frustrating, I remember me and my friend Steven on Craven Something Scary, we were watching the trailer like in slow-mo, pausing it. Because if you remember Steven, he was a massive, like the biggest Scream fan ever. We were watching the Scream 5 trailer, pausing it, and we saw that Wes's mom, Deputy Judy, was killed. You could see it in the trailer. And a lot of people saw that. If you paused it, if you watched it in slow-mo, you could see that she gets killed. And I don't think they want to make that same mistake again. So they will show that Joel McHale's character is attacked. They're going to show that the Meeks twins are attacked. But I think they're trying to avoid showing us anything that definitively says this character is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, like that one, you had to pause it, but people will pause it, and they know people will pause it.
Yeah, it's just like if you look closely when they're showing the bread and breakfast, there's a lot of like books on the wall, like that Gail wrote. You can see which people. I think Billy's outline is on the floor, and so is Richie's, and then so is Amber's. Like they're taking pictures in it and stuff like that, and then it has the animatronics. So there's little Easter eggs spread all throughout the house, like in 6 when they had that shrine.
And Knight and I did that on his channel. We actually went through the trailer and went through it in slow-mo and looked at every little thing. We looked at the bulletin board on Tatum's bedroom. We looked at every poster in her room. We looked at the posters that are downtown on the street. So they know fans are going to do that.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I think too many people are focusing on what they're showing and not focusing on what they're not showing.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Parker says
on what they're not showing. They haven't showed Kirby. They haven't showed.
I don't know if Kirby's in it.
I don't know if Kirby's in it. She hasn't confirmed anything, but they could be hush hush about it. We didn't know about her in Scream 6 for the longest time, and then it just happened.
The trouble with Hayden Panettiere is that's why she took a big break from acting. She has a lot of personal stuff in her life that make it to where returning to acting is not really viable. So her not being in a movie could be entirely a personal thing and not necessarily a movie thing. I think it makes sense for her to come back. But I also think they did a pretty good job of using her to maybe pass the torch along to Mindy in this one and give maybe Mindy a bigger role. It would be an awesome surprise if she was in it. But I feel like she's the kind of name that they would have used to get people excited about this movie.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. They would have been all over that. That's for sure. Because she was been a very popular character. They would have let people know.
Everybody
She's coming back.
Kirby.
Don't worry.
I mean,
she should be all over the advertising, the poster.
Yeah, why tell us that the Meeks twins are coming back and that Courtney Cox is coming back and then leave out that Kirby is? I think they would have told us, just like they did with Scream 6. They were very quick to tell us that she was going to be in the movie.
That's true. I hadn't considered that. That's a good point. So my theory is debunked. Debunk.
And so T. Parker mentions that Sam stabbing Richie and Amber on fire was in the trailer. Tara getting stalked by ghosts. I think they know that we do this, that we pause this, that people find a lot of these secrets, and I think they're being a lot more clever in this movie, or with these trailers.
That kind of leads me to my next theory. I think what this one's going to do, instead of focusing on like a certain like horror movement or like specific genre or subgenre or anything like that, I think this one is going to take a look at the Scream, not just Scream, but the Stab franchise, and it's going to kind of analyze itself that way, and that would kind of take it to the next level of being meta. You know what I mean? Because this whole time they've been introducing all these different Stab movies. But we don't know much about these movies. We know 5 includes time travel. I kind of want to see that.
I want to see that
too. They might get more into the movies, and but they might. That's what I mean. They might get more into the Stab movies and the kind of the lore behind that and the actors and stuff.
And I want you to go more in depth. I'm going to check in with the chat really quick, and then I want you to go more in depth with this, if you don't mind. So Wrestling God says, I think Stu is alive, and it's going to be a killer along with Sam Reckner and Asa Germain, and Ethan Embry also. I got some perfect stuff for the original Scream that proves he is the ghost-faced in the other movie. I think Stu is alive too. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Adam says, I think Stu is coming back as an AI personality invented by a wealthy billionaire obsessed with the Stab franchise. STU downloads himself in a... Adam.
That's interesting.
Adam, you're going in timeout now, okay? That's a bad Adam, and you do that outside. Okay. No, I love you, Adam. So tell me more about this using Stab thing.
Okay, so if you think about it, we only really know about the first two Stab movies because we've seen little clips and glances of like Heather Graham reenacting the first Stab movie, and then we've seen like clips of the second Stab movie from the other movies too. But we don't really know a whole like even on three, we're on the set of I don't know what Stab that is at that time, but we're on the set of another Stab movie. So instead of just revisiting it, I think that they go more in depth with it, and someone is like really obsessed with the Stab franchise more so than Richie because we know Part 8 had like the golden ghost face and the flamethrower. It wasn't really a Stab movie by
We
any
saw
means.
the beginning of a
So
lot
I
of
think it's
Stab
gonna not
movies
just toxic
before.
fandom, but they're gonna analyze that franchise and kind of make it reflect the Scream franchise in a way, except for 5 because there's no Scream movie about time travel. But I just want to know about Scream 5, Stab 5.
I think you're onto something here. So if you look at how they used Stab and Scream 5, they had fans getting really angry, and it was something kind of similar to what we saw with the backlash against Rian Johnson, who had done the Star Wars movies. Like, fans were rabidly angry. Like, I've only ever seen fan backlash that big with Star Wars and Halloween Ends. People went crazy.
Exactly.
So people got really mad that they were not being true to the franchise of the Stab films when they had Ghostface with a big old flamethrower, and that's what incentivized Richie. What if this is something that they're talking about now? Like that right now, Netflix is trying to buy Warner Brothers, and people think it's just because they would have access to all the Warner Brothers IPs, because a lot of the companies are going to invest in AI movies. A lot of people think that eventually you'll be able to come home, go to Netflix, just like with the Streamberry in Black Mirror, and say, I want a movie with Skeet Ulrich and Cassandra Peterson as Elvira on a buddy heist type Bonnie and Clyde thing. And it will just pop that movie on for you. A lot of people think that's what's going to happen. What if the Stab movie in this film is an AI film?
Oh, that's interesting too. That could be another way they include these older actors that are coming back. It could be the AI footage of the Stab films. I like that. You kind of combined both of our theories together there. I see what you did there.
Yeah. I'm
Same
not
wavelength, yeah.
But yeah, that would piss off so many people. I mean, just like we would be pissed off in real life. I mean, look at how angry people got about Late Night with the Devil, and they just used AI to create some art that was on the walls. But a lot of people boycotted that film. They got very, very angry. Can you imagine what would happen if they made an entire movie part of a massively popular franchise that was entirely AI, or even if it was heavily AI? People get very angry, especially when they use AI to resurrect dead actors. Star Wars again did this, and it made a lot of people very unhappy. So
Alien Romulus did that too. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. So if they made a Scream movie that utilized AI to an extreme extent, and this movie's commentary is on the use of AI to create movies, and then we have a Ghostface also using AI, like that could be the big theme of this film.
And then the tech billionaire guy could be played by Roger L. Jackson. He could be the Ghostface playing Ghostface. That'd be so cool.
Oh my god, that would be wild! Especially because I love Roger L. Jackson. Have you met Roger L. Jackson?
I have. He's so nice.
He is a
he's like the nicest.
sweetheart.
Like, he's really funny too. He just goes in and out of the voices when you talk to him.
Yeah, he did like funny. Mojo Jojo, Ghostface, and what's wild is a lot of voice actors, because they are under contract for a lot of things, they will not do their famous voices for you. Like when I met Matthew Lillard, he did the Shaggy voice for my son in his ear, but a lot of them will not do the voices for you. And so like Roger Jackson, he was doing all the voices. He did say we couldn't record him doing any of them. He said that would be against the rules. But he loves the characters that he has helped bring to life. It would be amazing to see him on camera as just himself. I think that's brilliant.
He's one of the Ghostface.
If they're not doing that, they have to, and they need to give you credit for it.
You're welcome, Kevin Williams. There's your idea for streaming.
Yes.
He's watching us, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Of course. I mean, they all watch my channel. Actually, funny story. I am not Scream. I'm not to the level where anybody involved with Scream would ever watch my channel. But I did make a big video on Leprechaun that I highly researched, and the director reached out to me and said it was the most accurate Leprechaun video ever. The producer reached out to me. They even watched a lot of my streams. And Mark Holton, who plays Ozzy, like wrote me a big thing about how it was such a great video and like he's a big fan. So I'm Leprechaun big.
That's cool. You got leprechaun stuff.
I actually, because I have all these leprechaun contacts, I've thought about making like a book or something where I interview everybody, but I don't know if anybody would care about that.
That'd be cool, yeah. Because you probably have a lot of stories to tell going to all these different cons. I know I do. And I haven't been doing this for as long as you.
Yeah.
But that's something else that Scream's never done that would be cool. They could have a scene or two that takes place at a horror convention and Ghostface strikes there.
That's pretty cool. I don't think it's going to happen in this one because they're in such a small town.
No.
So,
no, it's a small town. Most of the trailer takes place in this house, so I think most of the movie's going to be there. But that's just going back to Halloween roots too, right? One house, one street.
Yeah. So, T. Parker says, popular theory is that the killer is a huge Sydney fan and wants to see her in action and be in her prime again as the real final girl of the franchise. I mean, that could be, it does sound a lot like kind of what we had with Scream 5. But it's entirely possible. Oracle says the only thing we have seen of Stab 2 was the Stab 2 poster in Scream 3. That is also correct. Oracle's really good at getting those good details. But yeah, that is true. So, yeah. I think Stab could absolutely be involved with this movie. And yeah, as long as they don't retread old ground, because obviously the fan reaction in Scream 5 was a big part of that. So I wouldn't be interested in that or them doing any like YouTube clips or anything like they did in that one. Like we've already done that. Don't do that again. But addressing like that a lot of, you know, that they used AI in it and it's an unpopular movie would be cool.
I have another theory too that kind of branches off what we were just talking about. You know how like reaction channels are really popular on YouTube. So what if there was like a part of people like watching people react to the Stab films kind of thing, or people watching people? I think that's going to be an aspect in this movie too. It's about people, and then taking it to like another level with that, because they already kind of touched on that with like the house and like the smart house in 5 and the cameras everywhere.
Because I think that's what makes Scream franchise really interesting is that it has this meta commentary on the current state of film and particularly horror. So, and that's always changing. I feel like as the fears of the nation, you know, because it's an American film, as the fears of the nation change, the horror genre changes. You know, just like you look at like the 50s with atomic horror, like horror movies reflect what people are afraid of, and that's constantly changing. Mm-hmm. And so horror is constantly evolving. And I think the Scream franchise contributes to that by giving us a commentary on it, almost like kind of documenting it as it evolves.
Yeah, because there's a lot that's happened since since part 6. Like we have the Terrifier franchise, the Conjuring franchise is still going. They haven't really touched on that or anything like that. There's Megan's getting pretty popular. There's 2 of those now. So it's interesting. You see these new franchises, you know, Smile, that's pretty popular. There's 2 of those now. Trying to think of what new franchises they're kind of spawning that are kind of exciting to watch grow.
You know what else they haven't done yet with Scream that is really popular, and I think every single one of our major franchises has done it, is the idea of it transitioning to TV. Halloween, I don't think they have, but Friday the 13th is getting a TV show. Scream's already had 2 different TV shows. I mean, they're kind of linked, but they have 2 different casts in them. But a lot of our major horror franchises, Freddy's Nightmares did it back in the 80s. So a lot of them have had a TV spinoff. So that could be another thing that we could potentially see.
Oh, yeah, they could comment on that. That's a good point. Even I know what you did last summer had a show. Exactly. I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. I didn't see it either.
Queric says that he completely agrees with you. He says, watch, it's all going to be a Stab movie in the end. He's right there with you. Wrestling God says, hey, Stu is the reason why Cotton died in Scream 3, because that's one of the other reasons why he was in a movie, because he didn't mention his name, only Billy, and maybe it was like that because he knew that Stu was alive and he didn't die. I mean, I think that's possible. I don't think Stu's dead. Like, I really don't.
I never thought Stu was dead.
Because Wes Craven was a part of that, and I feel like Kevin Williamson and the people at Spyglass who are involved in this movie really are dedicated to preserving Wes's legacy and bringing to light things that Wes wanted to do. I know Wes was very disappointed with Scream 3. It was also a lot of studio meddling that he wasn't really involved, that he didn't like. And he didn't get to work with Kevin Williamson. There's a lot of things he didn't enjoy about Scream 3. But the biggest thing was the studio meddling. And he had been very excited for the original vision for that film. It makes perfect sense to me that they would want to bring that back. And I know a lot of people are saying that that's not going to happen because it's so obvious because fans have wanted it for so long. But Guy Busick is involved in this movie, and he's one of the biggest champions of let's bring Stu back. Just because a lot of fans want it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. And like I said, I think the way it's going to happen is this. I think the ghost faces we've had, much like Amber, she says she was radicalized online. And I firmly believe that the website that radicalized her was created by Stu, that he is behind it. So you could even tie her to Stu. So we already have this idea of Stu potentially operating from the shadows. And I think whomever our ghost faces are in this movie, they are going to get revealed and they are going to get killed. But I think Stu is going to be revealed at the end, and I think he's going to get away.
Okay, that's interesting.
You know, because that sets up Scream 8.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Neve Campbell has said she doesn't want to do these for like forever. So if she comes back for Scream 8, where she kills Stu Macher, I think that's how she would want to end her involvement with the franchise until she decides to do a Laurie Strode when she's super old and make another one. But I think that would be a really cool end to her story if she kills Stu Macher in Scream 8. But I think this movie, if Stu is alive, it's going to set up the idea that he's alive. I think they're going to give us some misdirections by revealing other ghost faces. And that big fight, we're going to know it's coming. And what would be even cooler, because we would know that Stu's going to be in Scream 8. So you're like, hey, these movies have been all about the whodunit. But the problem with the whodunit is, why do we love Scream? We love Scream for Sidney Prescott, which is so bizarre. Because if you look at A Nightmare on Elm Street, we love that for Freddy Krueger. Nobody ever remembers Nancy or any of the final girls. A lot of our franchises we love Jason, we love the killers. And I think Scream is lacking that boogeyman that the other franchises have. And the closest thing we have to that, namely due to the fan response, is Stu Macher. So this one's going to set up that boogeyman. And what would be even super cool is if we had ghost faces all over the country that were created, I guess, by Stu. Like, how would you even get to all those ghost faces? So that could be really rad.
That would be cool, because that's how Billy's mom found the other killer in Scream 2. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Mickey.
I should know this. Mickey, thank you. Sorry, I should know that.
I do it all the time, my friend.
They found Mickey on they found Mickey on the internet. It's really exciting too. But yeah, I'm thinking they never touched on Mickey again. So what if somebody that we've already talked about is related to Mickey somehow? And he's mad at Billy's mom for getting him involved in the whole thing.
I mean, that's possible. I'm not sure if it's Anna Camp or not, but I do think Stu's sister has every reason to want to come back and get revenge. Like, that's one of the ones that seems like it would be super foreseeable that
that's a theory I've heard that's popular.
And that's the thing too, is if they killed her son, like, that's a big reason. But on top of that, she'd want to go after Sidney Prescott, because I've heard some people say, well, then why is she going after Sidney Prescott? Sidney Prescott didn't kill our kid. But in a way, she kind of did. Because if it wasn't for Sidney's mom having an affair with Billy, none of this would have happened. It all comes back to Sidney. So her brother becoming a ghost face, leading to him being in prison or being killed, however you want to see it, leading to all of these ghost faces later on, which eventually lands on her doorstep with them killing her own son, which, let's think about her kid here for a minute. So let's think about Kyle Gallner's character in Scream 5. He's all tatted out with a lot of horror movie tattoos. I remember he had a Jason. He's not well liked in the community. He's going after a younger girl. I feel like his life has been really hard because of the actions of his uncle. I imagine it's something that he was teased about a lot. I imagine that they've probably had their house egged many, many times. I don't think that guy had a very easy upbringing because of Stu, right? Because of what Stu did. But I don't think his sister's going to blame Stu, even though she should. I think she's going to blame Sydney. And that is all the more reason why she would come back as a ghost face in this movie to stop Sidney Prescott.
I agree with what you're saying about the Vince character too, because the moment I saw him, he kind of reminded me of Eddie from Rocky Horror Picture Show. He's got the greaser jacket, he's got a switchblade, he's got his hair greased back, like, so like he's had a rough upbringing. So I think there's some truth to what you're saying. I think it's very plausible. Good idea. I like that.
So what do you think? Do you think Stu's alive?
Yes, I do think Stu's alive. I think they're trying to subvert expectations, though. I disagree with your theory. I don't think he's going to be the killer. I think they're setting them up to look like he's going to be the killer, and then it turns out it's been like AI or something like that. And then some other guy is going to be like, no, it was me, and I got into your head. Screw you, Sydney.
I have heard that theory. I have heard the theory that
I don't know is what the motivation would be for that. Like, who else did Sydney affect that would want to go to that length all these years later? That would be from Woodsboro, and it would have to be the sister.
Well,
or Roger L. Jackson, but that's far-fetched. That's more wishful thinking.
There's a few ways you could break it down. If it's not Stu, then I think it's 100% Ethan Embry. They do look a little bit similar. So maybe Stu's sister hires him to be the person that they base the AI on stuff and do the physical stuff for her. That's entirely possible. So we think, wow, Stu's really alive. They're messing with Sydney. They have all these recordings. And then you find out it's somebody that's associated with Stu's sister. The other thing, as somebody mentioned in the chat, I think it was T. Parker, mentioned that he thinks there's a possibility that this current Ghostface is as obsessed with Sidney Prescott. So how do you bring Sidney Prescott back? You go back to the beginning. So they're using Stu and this idea, because she shot Billy Loomis in the head. She knows damn well he's dead. But there is no definitive proof that Stu Macher is dead. We never saw no freaking body, and he was not shot in the head. And we already talked about the TV, guys. I'm not going back over that. Anyway, it's entirely possible that it could be him. What if this person who's obsessed with Sidney Prescott, maybe he's even from Woodsboro, is Ethan Embry, and he's using the AI to make himself look and sound like Stu Macher, but then you end up finding out that it's this guy who's obsessed with Sydney.
I had another idea too, because if you notice I think it's Pine Grove is the town that we're going to focus on now, but in that theater, they're playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you go by like Scream or anything, that's not an accident. I think this is going to somehow reflect on Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, with like the murderous family idea, because they've already kind of touched on that in other Scream movies too. They could just kind of take that to another level. That's why I kind of agree with what you're saying about Stu's sister.
Yeah. I think, like I said,
the murderous family.
Ghostface needs it, or not Ghostface, Scream needs its boogeyman. It's all been about, I mean, that's kind of the funny thing with Ghostface. Ghostface is really scary until you take off the mask, and then it's usually just a teenager, and they're a lot less scary. Ghostface is so much scarier than Jill or Mickey or Mrs. Loomis. Once they take off the mask, they cease to be scary. But what if they finally had that boogeyman aspect of it? Like they go back to the beginning, and they try to do that, I think, with the Billy Loomis the visions that Sam had. I think they were trying to do that a little bit to make this boogeyman. And in those movies, it was Sam's personal boogeyman, and it would have led to her eventually becoming a killer. So what if this movie is using Stu to again make an attempt at creating a real villain that's still scary after you take off the mask?
That's a cool idea. That's one of the reasons why I like Black Phone 2. It's not going to work with Scream, but they went the completely different direction with it, and they went supernatural with Black Phone 2. I don't know if you saw that yet or not.
I did.
But you're right. They need.
It was like Black Phone on Ice. I kind of want to do an ice show. It's like
Lake.
When he's going across the ice, it reminds me so much of that movie.
So
that movie Curtains. I thought he was gonna like pirouette or something. You see people off to the side holding up the signs to say like 9, 8.
But yeah, that's one of the things I liked about Black Phone too. They gave him that boogeyman status. They had the first one as like the origin. Because if you think about it, it wasn't until like part 6 until Jason became supernatural,
This
and it
is
happened
true.
off screen with Freddy. So
Do
it
you?
does make sense they do that. But I don't think to do that with Scream though, because
I
you
don't
couldn't go
want it to ever
supernatural.
be
I
supernatural.
don't want it to be supernatural.
But that
Fake me out
doesn't
with something else.
mean
Maybe think
that
it's supernatural, but it's not.
exactly.
That kind
That
of thing.
doesn't mean that they're not going to fake out either the characters or the audience. I mean, they tried to already fake out Sydney in Scream 3 that her mother was haunting her. And it wasn't
Yeah,
actually anything supernatural. She had
exactly.
some mental problems, and then they also used the voice changer and stuff, which I think was encouraging a lot of that. But I mean,
Yep.
honestly, Scream 3 doesn't get enough respect, I think. I think Neve Campbell's best acting ever is in Scream 3. And as far as a character study, Scream 3 does a better Sidney Prescott character study than any of the other films. We really get into her head of what she's going through to the point where she has locked herself away, changed her name, all of that stuff, even broken ties with the people she cares about the most because she's terrified of Ghostface. She's terrified of the legacy that her mother left behind that started this whole mess. And at the end of that, it's a big moment when she leaves that door open, showing that she's not scared
I
anymore.
love that moment.
And I think it's a
Yeah.
really beautiful moment. And I think that movie is so underrated. Like just as a Sidney Prescott movie alone, it's incredible. I think it's a lot better than people say it is.
I gotta admit, I was in the camp at first that hated it when it first came out. I was really disappointed with it, but over time, it has grown on me, especially with these newer sequels that have come out. It's got some charm, and I like how they did the Sydney character. I especially like how they handled the Gail character there because they kind of gave Gail her own story there with Parker Posey, and they
Yeah.
gave her like her own little investigation, and it was kind of like Gail's movie too. It was like half and half. So hopefully they do that with this one too. But like you said, Gail doesn't have that much screen time, so I don't think she's gonna make it.
But even what they did with Dewey's constantly had this need to be important, to be the hero, and he's frequently being dismissed as somebody who cannot pull off the hero role. In the first one, like he's telling his sister, like, you know, you gotta show me respect when I have this badge on. He's constantly trying to prove to Gail that he is this person who can protect people, that he can do these things. And he's frequently dismissed by the people who love him the most. And then we get to Scream 3, and he has somebody who's treating him like this big hero. He's hired for this movie. Parker Posey is treating him like he's her personal protector, and he's finally getting that gratitude and respect that he's been looking for, but it's not from the people that he wants it from.
He kind of gets that respect from Judy too in 4.
Yes, absolutely.
Because he's always making the lemon squares.
Yes.
But yeah, she's totally sucked it up to him. She respects him. She kind of wants to be him, and then she's the sheriff. So it didn't surprise me though when Judy died though, because you're right. I did notice that in the trailer, but hey,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting her son to die like that. That was kind of cool. That was a good fake out. I hope there's more stuff like that with the fake outs. Like play with my expectations because we're all expecting what we're expecting. So take what we're expecting and go the complete opposite way with it, whatever that may be. Because whatever our wildest our dreams of, that's kind of what I'm kind of thinking. Go against what we're thinking. You know, am I making sense?
No, you're 100% making sense, and
Okay.
I think that's what I love about this franchise is it keeps me guessing. I feel like, not to brag, but I feel like just because I understand writing tropes and I've seen so many movies, I'm pretty good at guessing the killer in movies. I'm usually not good at guessing how it was done, but I'm great at murder mysteries and guessing who did it because I try to think of it from like an audience point of view and stuff. And Scream is the one franchise where consistently I am not getting it 100% right, or I'm not getting it right at all. And it goes back to when I first saw Scream. So I'm going to age myself here a little bit, but I saw Scream at the cinemas when I was in high school. The day it opened, I had read about it in Fangoria. Drew Barrymore was and still is my favorite actress. Wes Craven was and still is my favorite director. So I was beyond excited for this movie. And my buddy and I went, and the whole movie, I kept thinking, well, it's definitely not the boyfriend because they're laying it on too thick. You know, that's one of the big giveaways is if everyone's constantly suspecting somebody, it's not that guy. It's almost never the boyfriend, you know, unless they try to make it less obvious. but they laid it on Billy so thick. I was like, there's no freaking way. I think I remember thinking that it was either Randy or Stu. But what really stumped me was one, it absolutely was Billy, as we all know. And two, there was two killers. Never saw that. And I feel like Scream was so genius in the way it played horror fans. It treated us like we were smart. It thought about the people who we would suspect, because I'm not unique in this. You guys are all exactly the same as me. You guys know if somebody's super obvious that they're not the killer. You know, that's not unique to me. That's something we all know. But Scream was the first movie that treated us with respect and realized that we're pretty savvy.
Even Casey Becker says she's seen Friday the 13th like 20 times. So you can tell these are horror fans.
Yeah. So I think that's what's good is it actually looks and it thinks, okay, what are diehard fans of horror and now the Scream franchise? What are they going to guess? Because it tries to be one step ahead of us, you know, and that's also why, they change a lot of the endings in a lot of them, because they're trying to make it unpredictable. And they're always finding new things. Like the last movie had 3 ghost faces. I told you I guessed Dermot Mulroney, but I didn't guess the other 2. I had no idea there was going to be 3. So,
well, they kind of cheated with Flynn, but anyways.
Well, yeah. So
I didn't like that, but anyways.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this, and especially with Kevin Williamson on board. He's an instrumental part of this franchise as a writer and now as a director. I think they're going to really try to make something that's going to stump us.
Personally, I think 4 did the whodunit the best, aside from the first one. 4 is my favorite sequel, and the reason for that is because they sort of go by the Scream playbook, but they do change it up, and they play with that whole remake idea. So like the party's in the middle instead of at the end, and the end's at the beginning kind of thing. And I hope they do kind of the same thing with this, but not exactly like how Scream 4 did it. Just kind of play by the Scream playbook, but tear some pages out, write some new pages, like give us something new. Because when fans are expecting, when fans know to expect the unexpected, how are you gonna surprise them?
Freaking Adam. He says, were people excited to see Scream back in the 80s? Adam, you suck. Okay, I was alive in the 80s. Thank you very much. The Scream didn't come out until 1996.
Came out. We're not that far apart in age.
And I was a teenager, and your face. Anyway, but yeah, and just kind of tracking, my opinions about the Scream movies have changed so much over time. I remember when I saw Scream 2, I saw that at the cinema because I loved Scream so much, and it's still one of my favorite movies. I was so upset that they killed Randy, and I really, I love that movie. I love it now, but for the longest time, I really hated it. And the reason I hated it, and this could be an unpopular opinion, but the reveal of Mrs. Loomis I thought was terrible. I thought that they got Aunt Jackie from Roseanne was like the worst casting decision of all time. I feel like she really hammed it up and was not at all scary, and I really hated that movie for a long time. And then I kind of came around to it because now it's like this beautiful 90s time capsule and it takes me back, and I love everything but the ending. But I like that Mickey was the killer, but I so hate the casting decision there. I'm not even mad that it's Mrs. Loomis. I just feel like I don't think she did a good job. And Scream 3,
you also the best hair in that. Sorry,
that's true. Scream 3, I mean, what did you think about Scream 1 and 2 when you saw them?
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah. So here's how Scream kind of started with me. Scream was like the first horror movie that I watched in its entirety without running out of the room screaming. I tried watching Freddy and Jason and stuff like that before, but I couldn't handle it. So that's why I consider myself to be a big boy at that time. So it really was my gateway into horror movies, like legit horror movies, not like those kids family friendly kind of like Hotel Transylvania today would be like a gateway horror movie, but that's like we're kid friendly. This is a real horror movie, you know what I mean? So Gremlins is sort of the same way. That was a real horror movie, but I could only watch it in snippets when I was a kid. I could only handle so much of it, so I hadn't really seen it in full before. So yeah, it really sparked my curiosity with horror. And the first time I saw Scream 2, I agree. I didn't like how they killed Randy, and I didn't like the whole thing with Billy's mother at first. But then later on, I realized they're trying to reflect like Psycho, like how they did in the first one when it says, we all go a little mad sometimes. And he talks about the corn syrup, and he talks about like more of the technical aspects.
And a boy's best friend is his mother.
As you get older, you realize things that you don't realize when you're younger, and sometimes it takes a few times to watch a movie to see like what they're really going for. So kind of like what I said with Scream 3, I was disappointed at first, but it did come around to me, and there's a lot of cool ideas that they have in Scream 2. And Gail's got the best hair in that movie.
Yes, Scream 3. I remember like not hating it. I've grown to appreciate it a lot more just because of how good the acting and things I didn't care about when I first saw it. You know, at the time I was like, it's fine. It was better. At the time I liked it more than 2. Now I actually like 2 a lot. It's really high on my list. My ranking changes all the time. They're like for the longest time I really loved Scream 4, and the last few times I watched it, I'm like, I'm not as into it as I used to be. I'm hoping I change on Scream 5 eventually because my opinions on all these movies change all the time. I've never really been into Scream 5. That's the one where it's just kind of consistently, I'm just not that into it. I like Scream 6 a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting how the franchise is kind of like horror itself. It changes over time and it kind of evolves with time. Scream 4, I like it because it was ahead of its time. It was all about like getting followers, and before YouTuber was like really before being a YouTuber was really a thing. Scream 4 was all about like going online, getting the fans. She wanted to be like the famous final girl, and that was a cool idea too. The final girl was the killer. So those are just some of the reasons why Scream 4 kind of stands out. And it's the last movie Wes Craven did, so that's cool too.
Yeah, no, I do like it a lot. I just my ranking changes. I like how no one
survived at the end. Wes isn't afraid to kill his killer.
My ranking changes all the time. Scream 1 is always the top, and what's at the bottom and stuff in the middle has always changed. But I mean, I like all these movies. I don't dislike any of them. None of them I would give Bulla with 3 stars. You know, if you're on a 5-star track thing. So, but yeah, my ranking changes all the time, and they are all really good. The other thing I like about this franchise is just how much it incorporates horror fans. So when I first saw Scream in 1996, I was basically Randy. It was not cool to like horror movies. I had one friend who I would make go to them, and every time I took her to a movie, like if I even want to see something like Interview the Vampire, she would be like, okay, well, there's a sci-fi movie that you have to watch. I'm like, God fucking damn it. She made me watch Stargate like 5 freaking times. There's only so much I can take, but I just didn't have horror friends at all. I didn't get horror friends, and honestly, until like the internet, I just didn't know anybody else who was into them. It was kind of the thing that made me weird, and it was I was a lot like Randy, the weird person where 100% if there was a serial killer, people would probably suspect me. So I was 100% that character, and I also liked how that movie played on it, because not only is Randy in the original Scream a big horror nerd, Billy is too. And I think a lot of people don't emphasize that enough with his quotes about horror movies, with his knowledge about the corn syrup in Carrie. And one theory I've held for a really long time is that his ongoing persistence to have sex with Sydney has nothing to do with sexual attraction. Has nothing to do with even liking Sydney. His only reason for going after Sydney is because of the situation with his mama. He actually hates Sydney, and I don't know if he's even that attracted to her, which again lends credence to what Matthew Lillard is saying, that they're their first husbands of horror. The reason he wants to have sex with her is because the rule is if you have sex, then you die. The final girl is the only girl in the friend group who does not have sex. She cannot die. She kills the killer at the end. He knows damn well he's the killer. And he knows by looking at the friend group, she's the final girl. She can't be the final girl if she has sex. So he seduces her to basically take her power away. And I think in his head, he thinks that once she has sex, she's not going to be able to take him down. Like, he's that devoted a horror fan. Like, he believes these rules like they're real. And that was the other cool thing about Scream, is that not only did it tell us what the rules were, but it consistently broke the rules too.
Yep. Like how she makes fun of people who don't run out the front door, but then Ghostface calls her and like she tries to get out the front door, but she can't do the lock, so she has to go upstairs to buy more time. Like, it's little stuff like that. It makes sense.
Exactly.
It happens.
And what's crazy is when we get to Scream 4, by then things had changed because we had the internet and everything. And then by the time Scream 4 came out, then being a nerd about film and being a nerd about horror, like now it's cool. So I always thought it was so unfair to poor Randy that Kirby gets to be super cool and respected and, you know, looked up to, whereas Randy just never had a chance. I think he would have had a better chance later on had he survived the movie. But yeah, and then even Mindy's regarded as being pretty cool, and she's also confident and stuff. So it's crazy how like that aspect has evolved too in the films.
Even Charlie, he was the head of like the Cineplex Club or like the Cinema Club or whatever, and like he had the respect of the other nerds. He wasn't necessarily cool per se, but he had that respect. Like he led the Sabathon every year. Charlie had the respect, you know. And that was cool too because Randy was the killer technically in that one. I thought that was a cool idea. Like they're the things I wanted to see in a Scream movie, and all of a sudden it happened in Scream 4. I'm like, whoa, wow. So one thing about that I want to add to what you're saying about Scream 2, I kind of like as much as it hurts, I kind of like how they killed Randy in Scream 2 because everybody loved Randy from the first one. I think a Scream movie should hurt. We should be latched onto these characters, and when they die, we should be like, no, not that person. And we haven't had that in a Scream movie for a while.
I agree with you in that. One of my complaints with Scream 4 when I saw that one is I did not believe there was any chance that either Dewey, Sidney, or Gale would die. They had been protected for so long, like they had plot armor. There was no way Wes Craven was going to kill these characters. And unfortunately, because Scream is about the survivors, it's about Sidney. It's not about like the Freddy Krueger. You know, Ghostface is only scary until you take off the mask. It's about the survivors. Well, if we can't fear for them, if we don't think they're actually in danger, then where are the stakes, right? And so I think it was smart that Scream 5 killed one of those three. I just wish it had been Gale. I think narratively that would have made a lot more sense. And then having Dewey, because you could have had, if they killed Gale, having her sacrificed, and you'd be like, wow, she went on a whole journey, which I still think they need to do with her. She needs to die by sacrificing herself for somebody, from being a character who's completely selfish to being a character who sacrifices herself for others. And then they could have had Dewey kind of rise up and be the hero that he always wanted to be, who's seen things.
Yeah, they did it backwards.
Yeah, I think they did it backwards, but nothing we can do about that now.
Nope. But maybe they can kind of course correct in this one with kind of like what you were saying. They can kill Gale off, and that could be like that thing that kind of brings everyone together to kind of rise up and take down this next Ghostface. And maybe they'll subvert expectations again instead of doing like one killer or two killers or three killers. I think they might do like a whole cult of Ghostface, kind of like what you said before about different countries even. There's like, have you seen the show The Following? It's all about this cult, and it goes deeper and deeper. It has Kevin Bacon in it, and like,
even look at Saw. Saw's done that.
And Saw did something like that too. So that'd be kind of a cool idea. You get like 12 ghost faces, and like you're surrounded and all that stuff. Like the House of Ghostface. I have a question for you though. In the trailers, they keep showing. Oh, there's my cat.
Hi, kitty.
But in the trailer, they show the house, Stu's house burning down. Where in the film do you think that's going to take place?
I think that might be an intentional thing. So it could be one or two things. I have two theories on this. Your kitty's attacking your tapestry. What's your cat's name, by the way?
Ursula.
Oh, that's such a pretty name.
Like the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I love that. So I have two theories about where that happens. Either we know that the two kids who stay in Stu Macher's house, we know that they get attacked. And I think that could be the opening kill. And it could end with Ghostface leaving, the whole place is on fire, and then it's like Scream 7, and then we cut to Sidney. That's entirely possible. Or the trailer's tricking us, which I feel like it kind of is. It could be tricking us, and it could show us that opening kill, but it does not end with the place being on fire. So I've heard some people say that they think that Ghostface there is Sidney. So it could be Sidney like she was in the first one, wearing the mask temporarily to go to trick who the actual Ghostface is. Or it could even, because the thing is I'm not sure that an actual Ghostface would burn down the house intentionally. And that is an intentional thing. So Stu's not going to burn down his actual house. I don't think his sister would, unless they were burning it down because of the way it was used as like kind of a museum. But I don't know. If it's Stu's sister, I guess she would have reason to be pissed off at the way it's been turned into like a bed and breakfast type thing or a museum, because the whole fandom or notoriety behind the Woodsboro killings would have ruined her life. It would have ruined her kid's life. So it could possibly be her setting fire to it. Like, you know what? We're closing this chapter. I'm ending this for now, and then I'm going to go after Sidney Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be a heroic character wearing the ghost face mask, doing that, and then they unmask themselves and go after the actual ghost face. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe like Stu's sister or somebody the more I think about it. What do you think?
I think it's a fake out. I think it's part of a stab movie.
You think it's part of a stab movie?
Yeah, I think they try to fake us out. Because you're right. Why else would they burn it down unless it was part of a movie that didn't actually happen? I think it's like the opening scene for a stab movie. Or maybe the end of a stab movie.
And again, it'll be interesting to see how close the Mocker house is in Stab. Because Stab does change a few small things. So how did they use the real house? I wonder why they would burn that specific house down. But then again, it must, because it's set up as a museum for Stab fans. Yeah. And Woodsboro murder, like true crime enthusiasts. So it must be pretty close. So that is a good point.
I'm also curious, at what point are we going to cross over? Because if the intro, like you think, is going to be in Woodsboro and the rest of the movie takes place in Pine Grove.
That's a good point. The movie takes place in Pine Grove.
Yeah, exactly. Where is that crossover going to happen? Are we going to go to Woodsboro or are we going to go to Pine Grove? Or are we going to like meet in the middle somewhere? That's my theory. Like, I think it actually is going to take place in Woodsboro and the Pine Grove stuff is actually Stab. I think they're trying to fake us out. Could be a hot take.
No, that's not the case, because one thing I do know without revealing too much about the Pine Grove location is I do have a friend, Bearded Entertainment, who was actually on set for a lot of it. And the place where they're filming that is set up to be a Pine Grove, that is, you know, and we also see like Sydney running down that street and stuff. So the movie is primarily set in Pine Grove.
Okay, fair enough.
We can count on that. Myth busted. But you make a very good point that Stu's house is in Woodsboro, California. So it entirely could be a Stab movie. So either A, it's a Stab movie, which is like meta upon meta, because that'd just be a lot.
That's just so strange.
Or my theory is that it's a character connected to the beginning of the Scream franchise. So I'm thinking Stu's sister or Stu himself. And interesting. There has to be at least two there, because if you watch it, there are two different ghost faces. In fact, when the guy is messing with what looks like an animatronic, if you watch it, that one even moves when he stops doing it. I think they're pretending to be an animatronic. I don't think it's an animatronic at all. So that's a ghost face, and then there's one in the hallway. So I think there are two ghost faces there. So it could be like Stu and his sister. It could be Stu and somebody he's added to his cult of Stu. Or if you don't believe Stu is alive, it could be his sister and somebody that she has hired or teamed up with.
Okay. Do you think the animatronic ghost face is kind of a nod to Five Nights at Freddy's with the animatronics?
That actually is a really good catch. That's a really good catch. I think that actually is a really good theory that they're doing.
Like, I don't think it has to do with the plot or
anything.
anything.
It's not a real animatronic. If you look at it, it's not a real animatronic. Here's the other thing I noticed when I watched the trailer. One of the things people were really upset about with Scream 5 is that the ghost face that kills Dewey is tall and clearly a man. You can tell by the shoulders, and it's absolutely not Amber. It's not, even though it tells us that it is. And I think, honestly, it's supposed to be her, but they didn't think about it. They didn't think we should get a female stunt double in there. Here's what I noticed watching the Scream 7 trailer. If you look at the ghost face they have, at least one of the ghost faces, because you know there's going to be more than one, the shoulders are pretty narrow, and it looks like a woman's body. So I think they have a female stunt double playing Ghostface, which would indicate that we have a female killer, a female Ghostface. So Stu's sister, it could be McKenna's Grace. I think one of our Ghostfaces is absolutely female.
Yeah, I noticed that too when it showed the Ghostface jump down from the attic and then slowly stand up. The shoulders are a lot more narrow.
Yeah,
I did notice that because they do tend to kind of cheat in these other movies. They get the 6 foot tall stuntman to play Ghostface regardless of who's the killer, so you can't really go by like height and weight and stuff like that. Like a real investigation would, but hey.
But they're learning. They know what people complained about before, and the that's not Amber argument is a pretty common one, and it's a big thing that people complain about with that movie. They're not going to make that same mistake again, just like they're not going to make the mistake with the trailers again.
Exactly. Yep.
So 100% we have a female Ghostface, but we know we have more than one. I firmly believe Stu is involved. I don't know if he's actually going to be wearing the mask, though. I think he could be behind the scenes. And I think the Stu's sister theory is a good one. Whether or not it's Anna Camp, that one's the one where I'm not entirely sure.
No, but there's something else. I have an idea. I don't think it's a theory. Well, it's not really a theory, but it's not really. I don't think they're going to do it either. But I think it would be cool if they had Matthew Lillard come back as kind of like a Hannibal Lecter type character. You need a ghost face to catch a ghost face.
That's actually really cool too.
That's what I want to see. I don't think they're going to do that, but it's just an idea that I had when I was doing my little research and stuff. I'm like, wait, this would be really cool. He keep you like the Hannibal Lecter.
The only problem with that, because it's happened before with a lot of killers, is people know that they're in jail, and that's why they send people over to get them. If Stu's in jail, nobody's really made a thing about it, so I'm not sure how likely that would be, but it would be cool to see in a movie. So Danny and I have talked about this before, and he just mentioned it in the chat that Stu killed Dewey. Now, if you look at the body type of Ghostface in part 5, it is a very tall male figure. And that pisses off a lot of people because Amber claims to have killed him at the end. Now, she also said she was radicalized online. And like I've told you, the dreaded subreddit that she was on, I firmly believe Stu Macher created that. He is the person running it. He is the person who radicalized her. In the same way Roman radicalized him, radicalized Billy. It's an ongoing thing. And I think because Dewey is way too important to let an underling do it, and Danny also agrees with me on this. I think Danny might have been the one who actually caught it. We think it's Stu who actually killed him. And so she says she killed him, but because she's part of the movement. Just like how a lot of people who are part of a cult will make claims for the whole cult, you're one body. So when she says like she killed Dewey, it's because, she's part of it. She could have also been told to take credit for it because she doesn't want to reveal the person who's behind everything. But her saying she did it does not automatically mean that 100% she was the person who really was in the costume. I think it could have been Stu, especially if he's alive. The body type fits perfectly. And Dewey would be personal. He wouldn't let somebody else kill Gail, Sydney, or Dewey.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's a good theory. I hadn't heard that before. That's cool. I like how you can look at these movies and there's a little bit you can read more into if you just look at these little clues here and there. Even in the first one, if you notice the boots in the bathroom, they're kind of similar to the other boots, and the way that Ghostface holds the knife and the way that in the one scene, I think it's in the beginning actually, the Ghostface chokes Casey Becker and then they choke Sydney the same way. So I think that's the same person. And Stewie and Billy both, Stewie, anyway. I didn't mean to say Stewie.
No,
Stewie and Billy both hold the knife
his mom
differently.
calls
Like
him
one of them
Stewie.
holds it with 2 hands, one of them only holds it with 1 hand. And there's these little details that I noticed each time I watch it. And even if you notice in the trailer, there's the scene where the Ghostface is tapping on the wall with the knife, but he's holding the knife just like Stu would have. So maybe Stu is in that house, and I'm wrong with my theory, and he is one of the killers. And you could be right. Who knows?
And that's the thing. I do think that with the stunt doubles, they have paid more attention to how they kill. I don't think they paid enough attention to what their body type is, but I do think like the ones that are supposed to be Amber are very, very violent, whereas the ones that probably were Richie or more like stab and I'm done. They don't have that fire behind them. And you can see that with a lot of the other movies too. Another killer who was a lot like Richie in that they were mostly hands off was Jill. Jill made Charlie do most of them. If you break it down, you're like, nope, that had to have been Charlie. That had to have been Charlie. But the way he kills and the way she kills, they made it very different. They do
Charlie
pay
was
attention.
brutal.
Yes. So they do pay attention to like giving it a character. And I think that honestly goes back to the original Scream movie. So one thing that we really associate with Ghostface is that cleaning the knife thing. You know, even Sam did that. And the reason why that happened, it was not in the script. The stunt double said, hey, wait a second. We've done the scene after this and the knife is clean. And we just did the scene where the knife is bloody. That's going to create a continuity problem. Hey, I have an easy fix. I'm just going to clean the knife right here. So that was created by the stunt double. So yeah, I think we've come a really long way in how they're directing the stunt doubles, which is really interesting because I feel like the stunt doubles in a lot of our franchises are beloved in a way that Ghostface hasn't really been. Like, we love Kane Hodder, but he was just the stunt double. He was not originally cast as an actor. He was cast as a stunt double. But,
exactly.
Yeah. So I think they're starting to pay more attention, or at least I hope they're starting to pay more attention to what the stunt doubles are doing when they're portraying these characters and thinking about it as them portraying the characters who are eventually revealed. Like, no, you're Amber right now, or you're Richie right now. And I don't know if it was a mistake and they're going to correct it by saying it's Stu, which I think is a great way of correcting that if it was a mistake. The Ghostface that killed Dewey. If it was a mistake, I think having it be Stu would be a great way to correct. Or if they have had it planned all along that it's revealed to be Stu.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Which, again, okay, if you look at the original plan for that trilogy with Sam, it was going to eventually lead to Sam becoming a killer. Whether she kills ghost faces, whether she kills innocent people, who knows? But we have Billy highly involved. What a better way of ending that than also having Stu coming back in the flesh and then revealing that he was the one who killed Dewey. Like, maybe he was originally supposed to come back at the end of that trilogy too. He hasn't said anything about it.
No, he hasn't said anything about it, but he was supposed to come back for 3. He's been very open about that since that came out. So
he's also
and he's been wanting to come back for a while. So it's interesting.
He's done a lot
it's kind of bittersweet though.
Yeah, he's done a lot of press with Skeet Ulrich. Like, he's always all over him, like really handsy with him. He'll like, tweak his nipple and stuff. And he calls them like the first husbands of horror. And I think it might have been because it's been planned for a very long time that he was going to come back. And that obviously ties into Billy and his relationship. And even on one panel, he was on with Skeet and Rose McGowan. And she was like, oh, that explains so much about like what happened to my character. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I firmly believe Stu's alive. I think I'm beating this as a dead horse, but yes, I don't doubt it.
Hey, I'm with you, Gory. I think he's always been alive. I never doubted, like, even at the end of the first one, I'm like, wait, there's no way he's dead. Like, sure, he's bleeding, but, wounds heal. Like, I don't think he would have bled out. I know he got cut pretty deep, but it was one wound. And it was in the same spot. They just got the same spot a few times. Yeah. So I don't think he would have bled out that fast. Like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor or anything like that.
He was bleeding a lot, but again, emergency services showed up in enough time to save Dewey.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's entirely possible.
And look at all the blood that Chad lost in 6.
I know, right? So Adam says, unless he grabs his crotch, I don't believe they're an item. I don't actually think they are. I don't actually think they are an item. I think it's possible. But I truly think that Billy he's into horror movies and he's a mama's boy. But I see him as more of almost kind of an asexual type character. Somebody like Norman Bates or somebody who, if he were to have real sexual attraction, he'd probably like flog himself or beat himself up or something. I don't think he operates in that way. I don't think he has crushes and stuff. I mean, obviously he had sex with Sam's mom and stuff too, but I'm sure there was a reason behind that as well. I don't know. Maybe he thought that I don't see him being emotionally invested in that way. I think the only person he's emotionally invested in is his mom. There's a reason he quotes Psycho. Yes.
Yeah.
However, I do believe, and I think, Matthew Lillard's interviews support this, that Stu was in love with Billy. I just don't think it was reciprocated. I don't think so. It's possible. But also, there are other indicators that he's into guys. Look how like handsy he is with all the guys in the movie. Like when he's on Randy, he's like flicking his ear and stuff. He's way more handsy with Randy in that scene than he is with Tatum in the whole damn movie.
It's true. Like, he's very comfortable around men.
He is very comfortable with that. He's all over Billy at the end there. And I truly believe that he genuinely loves him, whether it's romantic or not. I mean, I think he really loves him. And the fact that Billy was killed and everything would give him a lot of reason to want to have revenge on Sydney. But yeah, the fact that he killed Casey, which, I mean,
and the way he was talking about Casey afterward, like the knife going up her like thigh, stuff like that, and the liver alone.
he had no, obviously he was probably pissed off that she went with another guy, but honestly, I don't think he ever cared about her. And I don't think he cared about Tatum either,
because she was like right there, like in the classroom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was more psychological.
So Billy's upstairs. There's no way Billy killed Tatum. That was Stu. If he had any feelings for her, I just don't see it being possible. So I think Stu is gay.
Stu killed Tatum in the first one?
Oh, fuck
in the
yeah.
garage?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I always thought Billy did it because the way he shows up and the way he looks at Stu when he gets there, he's like, yeah, it's taken care of. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's possible. All right, let's break that down. Okay, so Stu is upstairs.
I just hadn't thought of that before.
I mean, I guess it's possible because she goes down to get beer, right?
Because Stu was hosting the party.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy showed up later on. And when he gets to the house, he gave Stu this look. He's like, yeah, it's done.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, even then, though, I still think he had Billy do it for him. I mean, why else kill Tatum?
Again, that's just to send a message to Sydney. It's more about Sydney, psychological.
Mm-hmm. But even then, he doesn't.
Been about killing Sydney. It's been more about making Sydney suffer.
Yeah, he doesn't have any. The more I think about it, I think Billy did kill Tatum, but we don't see that Stu's really broken up about it. Honestly, I feel like nobody was as broken up about Tatum as they should have been. Like at the end of the movie, I think they should have added a line to Dewey's character where he's on the stretcher saying, "Where's Tatum?" Kind of like with Ginny at the end of Friday the 13th too. I think he should have been, "Where's my sister?" instead of like doing the thumbs up and stuff. I know that was added in afterwards because originally he was gonna die, but when they changed that, they should have had him be like, "Where's my sister?" I mean, Sydney sees her body, but
like in Nightmare on Elm Street, each of the kids had their own little funeral scene. Mm-hmm. They could have did like a funeral for her or something.
You guys are so busy in the chat. I don't think I can read all of this.
Well, that's good. Go ahead, catch up. I've said my piece for now.
So Wrestling God doesn't think that Stu would be behind the dreaded.
Okay.
I mean, I think he is.
I just want to add, I'm still sad that we're never going to get Christopher Landon's Scream movie. I think that would have been amazing because he worked as an intern on the original Scream, and I love Freaky, and I love Happy Death Day, so he knows how to do the horror comedy. Yeah. So I'm really curious what that movie would have been.
Great at blending the horror with the comedy, and I think it's insane that people were sending him death threats over that movie. Like,
it wasn't even his call.
Yeah,
he had nothing to do with it. So I'm sad. It wasn't his fault that he left, but he didn't really have a choice. So it just saddens me that the fans take it that far, like what you were saying with like Star Wars and stuff like that. It's
ridiculous. I haven't experienced a lot of the Scream backlash. I do know other friends I have on YouTube who say that they have, and I mean, if you don't want to see this movie, that's fine. It's just a movie.
Well, I'm gonna watch it regardless. It's Scream.
I'm gonna see it. I mean,
that's a perk.
And yeah, I think there's no reason to be threatening somebody's family over a freaking movie, regardless of how upset you are about the movie.
Same thing happened to George Lucas. He kept getting scrutinized over the thing that he created that the fans fell in love with in the first place. Just because it wasn't what they expected it to be. So it's like, come on, like.
Okay, so Wrestling God.
It's frustrating.
Hard to read all the Wrestling God wrote a lot. So I'm going to try to go through this. So Wrestling God says it does make sense for him to do the Reddit thing. Okay. I actually don't know wrestling. I'm going to call them they because I actually don't know. I shouldn't assume just because they're into wrestling that they're male. Anyway,
Sure.
Wrestling God, let me know what your name is. And that will be easier than calling you Wrestling God all the time because I feel weird. If you want to, unless he pretended to be someone to get Amber the house and her parents and like all the other stuff, since after all, if he is good at keeping secrets and hiding in plain sight and never got caught, yeah, it wouldn't make sense that he posted like an ominous message to her parents to buy a house and that's how she convinced her parents to do it, just like he brain lost her and Richie to do. Or maybe he hired the both of them just like he hired Richie's family just to soften all of them up for their way dawn of the death they have in store for them. I think Stu killed... Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm following that. Yeah. I mean, I think Stu did it. So, yeah, it could be a wrestling goddess, Danny. All right.
Interesting.
I am owning my mistake here. Wow. We have covered a lot of ground, my friend. I'm having a really...
We did.
Oh, wrestling god is I'm just a guy. Let you know I'm Edward. Dude, you're Edward. I was Team Edward back in the day.
I wasn't.
I mean, I'm from Washington State, so we take Twilight seriously here. No, these days, even though I do like Twilight, I'm team go to college. I'm team college. Bella, forget the werewolf, forget the vampire, go to college, babe. That's the team I am.
Bella in the books more than the Bella in the movie, but anyways, that's a different episode. That's a different show.
That's a whole other thing. Wow, I cannot believe we have talked about this for 2 hours. It feels like we've just been talking about this for like 5 minutes.
Oh, it's been 2 hours, really? Okay.
I know, right?
Cool. It's just fun talking about Scream with you.
I'm having a great time. We're going to hang out more.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we have any other theories to cover?
I think we covered pretty much everything. Your Ethan Embry theory is interesting. Maybe he could be. I hadn't really heard anything about that before, so I was curious to hear what your thoughts were. So thank you for that. That was cool. It's very possible. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. I've heard different theories about like someone hitting like someone from like a patient from like an insane asylum, or somehow like an insane asylum is going to come into play somehow in Scream 7. So have you heard that? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, like Sydney hits somebody and they think that that person might be the ghost face, but it's not. It's like a fake out or something like that.
What if that's Ethan Embry?
We haven't really talked about yet. Hold on. It's on IMDb.
I mean, what if... Do they know who is cast as this person?
Asa German. There's a lot of secrecy behind Asa German. He's talked about filming his part, but he hasn't really said a whole lot what he's done.
I think... Let me double check. I think... So if you look at the bulletin board of Tatum's bulletin board, I should have written this down, but it does say what her boyfriend's name is. And I remember on one of the... I think one of the articles I read said that he is playing that character. Yeah. So a lot of people think he is playing a character named Brian, who's the boyfriend of one of the main girls, like Taylor or Logan. But I'm pretty sure you can see that name on Tatum's bulletin board. So I think he is playing Tatum's boyfriend.
Okay, so they might do the whole fake out thing with the boyfriend again.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is something I heard. They might not do anything with the insane asylum, but who knows?
I guess people also think that he could be a character named Logan, who's a new neighbor to Sydney. So that would be like Anna Camp's son.
Okay.
So that's possible.
Yeah, there's a couple actors. They don't have character names. They're just listed as Sydney's neighbors. So that's interesting too. Like, why would you label them as that specifically? Because they're are they like watching Sydney kind of like a rear window situation, and they think that Sydney's up to no good, but really she's the one trying to stop Ghostface?
Well, what I read is that Anna Camp is playing her neighbor, but she's also like her best friend.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I do think the whole thing about Stewie, I keep saying Stewie.
Stu, if she is Stu's sister, and it would make more sense if she wasn't her friend. So let's look up Anna Camp in Scream. Anna Camp.
Yeah, let's do it.
7. We're doing the research now, okay, guys? We're like proper detectives.
Live on the air.
We're like a buddy cop. We're movie and Flixter. The he's a loose cannon, and I'm too old for this shit, right?
Like Murtaugh and Riggs.
Yeah. So yeah. So if I type it into Google, it says she plays her neighbor and friend. So it's a role she
exactly.
describes as a full circle moment. Because her first date was seeing the original Scream movie, Anna Camp says. But beyond that, the details are being kept secret. So yeah, it says she plays Sydney's neighbor and best friend, a character whose specific role remains undisclosed. So yeah, I have read that online that she is playing her best friend. So, like you guys have said in the chat, I would like to think that Sydney Prescott would do a background check on everybody, and her husband is the chief of police. But that doesn't mean that these things can't be faked. And we know the Mocker family is like stupid rich. Especially if they're able to cover up that Stu's alive, or, again, that could be also what the law enforcement decided to do. But I wouldn't be surprised if she was somehow able to change her name or cover it up or something. I don't know.
They could go back to the AI thing that we were saying before. Like, that's not really what her name is. She could be a mocker. So that's a cool idea. That's a cool theory.
So, Wrestling God Edward says there's a guy. His name is Craig Dane. He's got to be played as Kyle, as the mental patient in Seven, because he could be connected to whatever Stu was up to, which caused him to escape. Again, yeah, Stu, I think, is the person at the chessboard here who's moving all the pieces. So maybe it's a situation like Pennywise and Henry Bowers. Like, he's got some guy, in a mental hospital that he's using to create a diversion or to look like he's the main Ghostface. Because like I said, I don't think Stu is going to wear the Ghostface mask. I think he's operating behind the scenes. And so I think the way I see this movie ending is both Ghostfaces are killed. They walk away. There's nobody else around. It looks like the day is saved. And then there's a reveal of, behind a computer or something, Stu Mocker. And you realize, wow, he's been behind the scenes for a really long time, going back to Scream 5 at least.
That's interesting. I didn't really consider that before too. I decided he'd come back and like have a cult or something like that. You know what I mean? And he'd like cause this mass following. And like, yeah, if you want to support Billy and you want to support me, then we can go on this journey together, sort of idea. You know what I mean?
And they would have to. Being in a cult, I think they would cover up that secret for him. They wouldn't say that they've talked to Stu Mocker because they're not going to reveal that and make him vulnerable. But I think you absolutely could say, he's been back since 5. He started that Reddit post. He's the one who killed Dewey. Like, I think you can sprinkle in, like, no, he's been there the whole time, just like they've done with, like, they reveal more stuff with Maureen Prescott. We get more details all the time building on it. You could easily say that Stu has been alive, and we've seen traces of his interactions for many movies now. So that's how I think it would be. You would see him behind a computer, or you would see him in a different location. In fact, like you mentioned before, so his house is burned down in the beginning. He could still be in Woodsboro. He may never actually go to Pine Grove in this movie and still be involved. Maybe in the beginning, him and another Ghostface like kill that couple there and they burn the house down because he just wants to put that house, behind him for whatever reason. He doesn't like how they're treating his legacy. But then the other Ghostfaces that are part of the cult that he is incentivized or whatever, or his sister, are in Pine Grove.
And doing that, they can also do kind of a commentary on Saw, because Saw kind of touched on that. And even Chucky in the show, they kind of touched on that too with the cult of Chucky. That was with the dolls, but still, there's that cult status, and then the cult status is also a play on words too, because you have cult classics kind of idea.
And can you imagine if there was people acting as Ghostface all over the country? They also kind of played with that in Scream 6, how that guy was just going to be Ghostface to get at his professor, like he wasn't even actually a part of it. The idea that there could be Ghostfaces everywhere, and they also, it seemed like that's what Kirby was doing. That Kirby was using her position in the FBI to find people who had been Ghostfaces. It seemed like she'd already taken care of a couple. Like, there's other Scream movies that we haven't even seen, with other people who are like copycats.
Spin-offs,
So you could have the situation in Scream 8 where it's now become known, like not just the ones Kirby is doing, took care of and stuff, that there are Ghostfaces all over. That's also a great opening to bring Kirby back for Scream 8 for a reunion, and reunite everybody who's still alive and part of this franchise. And ultimately, how do you take down a cult? You go for the head. You can't possibly go to every single place all these ghost faces are. But if you go for Stu, the head of the cult, that knocks it all down.
Yep. And they even kind of touched on that in the Chucky TV show at the point when, like, I don't want to say too much because in case people haven't seen it. But yeah, I'll kind of leave it at that. You have to go for the head to kill the snake, so to speak.
Yeah, I would love a Scream show spinoff that follows Kirby. I think at one point somebody said there might have been a Kirby spinoff. I'm not sure what's going on in her life right now, and I don't know if I entirely remember all the details, but I would really love to see her come back. I don't think she's coming back in this one, but hopefully she comes back in Scream 8. But I am starting to get like the vocal fry. So I think we've covered all of our theories. The only other question I have for you is, when do you think we're going to see the next trailer?
The next trailer? I think we're going to see it maybe like after Christmas sometime. It's sometime like early January, like a month before it comes out. Maybe even mid-January or so like that.
I kind of hope we'd see it this month because that's when Scream came out, was in December.
Yeah, the 20th is the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, so wouldn't it be rad if it came out on the 20th?
That would be rad, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm hoping
doing, actually, because that'd be the whole meta thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scream for Scream on Scream Day.
So yeah, I'm hoping it comes out on the 20th. If not, then I guess I would be pinning it on whatever big horror movie is coming out. But then the last trailer just came out online, so it's hard to say.
Hard to say, yep. I'm not even sure what the next big horror release is going to be. I guess it's going to be Strangers Chapter 3. Is that considered a big horror release?
I don't think so.
I know. I just don't know what else is like a big name that's coming out soon. A lot of big stuff already came out. I'm not even sure what's coming out next year, really.
And that's the thing with Scream. It has such an online following. I mean, it's crazy with Scream, like how many people get involved in like the theories and the predictions and stuff in a way that people don't with any other franchise. It's crazy, the online community for this. So it makes sense that they released the last trailer online, and I wouldn't be surprised if the next one comes out online too.
Yeah. And I heard they released the first trailer in front of The Running Man. So maybe there'll be another release that's pseudo horror, and they'll kind of just slip it in there.
Well, the last one just came out online.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying, like, the first theatrical trailer was before The Running Man, wasn't it? That's what I heard.
I mean, that's entirely possible.
I haven't seen that movie yet, so I don't know. It's hard to say, but hopefully sooner than later.
Well, when it comes out, I want us to get back together and talk about it.
Totally, yeah.
So, guys, I do want to plug my buddy here. You guys have heard him the last couple hours. He knows his stuff. His channel is criminally undersubbed. It is linked in the doobly-doo down below. I'm a big fan of this guy. I'm sure by now you guys are too. So definitely, if you're not already, please subscribe to Mr. Flixter. And Chris, tell us what's coming up on your channel.
Okay, so this weekend on Saturday at 9:30 p.m., I'm going to talk about my favorite versions of A Christmas Carol with my girlfriend Sabrina. And then the week after that, Gory and I are going to get together again, but we're going to go on my channel and we're going to talk about Black Christmas. We're going to do like a ranking of the 3 movies.
It's so easy to do.
I think we're both going to agree with the ranking, but it's going to be interesting because I love the first Black Christmas. And then we're kind of going to the history of like how it's affected slashers and stuff like that. And then after that, I'm going to take a little bit of a hiatus. And I'm working on my Batman Returns video too. So I'm going to have that out before Christmas time. I love that movie.
Adam subscribed to your OnlyFans, he says.
Pardon me?
Adam is subscribed to your OnlyFans.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you want to see more, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that jazz. I got Christmas Carol coming up. I got Batman Returns.
I love that one.
That's Black Christmas. Me and Gory are gonna get together again on the 27th.
I'm excited. Black Christmas is one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies, and honestly, one of my all-time favorite horror movies. I love that movie so much. So yeah, and I got opinions on the other ones. Opinions for days.
I was watching your Christmas horror movie episode, and you mentioned it, and I saw how much you loved it. So I'm like, oh, maybe you want to go on my show, and we can talk about it a little bit more in depth. I focus on those 3 films.
So excited. So definitely, guys, please check that out. Over here on the Gory B Movie channel, I will be live again tomorrow because this was originally the Sunday stream. and my internet was out. It's a whole thing. You don't want to hear about it. Anyway, tomorrow I will be live with my friend Annie. We are going to talk about her new horror book that came out, and we're going to be talking about trans horror. We're going to be talking about Christmas horror. It's going to be super rad. That'll be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you are a member of the channel, this Friday at 6 p.m., we're going to be watching Elves for a member watch party. And here's the thing, guys. That movie came out in 1989, and I have never seen it. I just know that there's only going to be one elf in it, and there's something to do with Nazis. It's going to be crazy. And so, yeah, definitely, if you're a member, check it out. And if you're not a member, like, become a member and hang out with us. It's going to be super fun. We have members-only content every week. All right. Thank you guys in the chat. It was really fun hanging out with you, Edward, and hearing your theories. I really liked talking to TJ Parker and Horror Addicts. I mean, always a pleasure, right? Adam's my ride or die, dude. I love that guy. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us, for sharing your theories. Thank you again to Mr. Flixter, Chris, and until we meet again, blessed be. Scream!